told you I found you a perfect match, chosen by science, but you had to marry them right this second. You would tell me, well, that sounds pretty whack, and I would add you have 8 weeks to know if you really love them. You just got married at first sight. Jason and Aysha gonna tell you wrong from right. Are all these couples just disasters waiting to happen? Imagine if one of them could be a perfect match.
Welcome to A Perfect Match, a Married at First Sight podcast, where today we will be talking about season 16, episode 8. I am one of your hosts, Jason Reed, and I am with my co-host, Aysha Welch, who I just told that I secretly had dogs and she didn't know. I just have not moved them into my house I've been in 5 years. Aysha, how are you?
Hey, Jason, I'm doing well, but I couldn't help but notice you don't have any pictures on your wall behind you. Like, what's going on? That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, I have never seen someone podcast with no pictures or anything on their wall behind them.
Aysha, I'm a minimalist. Okay, I keep my phone right here next to me on my desk. I don't have a need for a lot of furniture. Okay, geez, I don't need a lot of pictures. I don't post my children all over my walls like you do. I'm so sorry.
Okay, whatever. Well,
It's just weird.
Whatever floats your boat.
I mean, you all think I have so much judgment on me. Gosh. I'll tell you what, though, you don't want it in my closet. All right. That's supposed to be in my room. It's in my closet.
Right.
All the pictures
everything.
are there.
Yeah. Or on a really small ring dish.
Yeah.
Tucked away in a corner.
Yes. You want to see my family? You got to really look.
So here's the magnifying glass.
You got to work for it.
Yeah.
Like a Where's Waldo type of situation.
Right. Oh my goodness. But welcome everybody. Very excited to be talking about this episode. There was a lot to discuss, a lot to unpack because Pastor Cal is finally here.
Finally in the building. After no communication, throughout weddings and honeymoons, he still gave them like 3 days and then swooped in. Really wish he would have come like the day after they get home from the honeymoon. I understand there's a lot going on for them, but I feel like they need guidance like immediately.
I feel like they need a Zoom call during the honeymoon.
Yes, for sure. I think that
things go awry, and then he's like, "What happened?"
We've been getting reports.
Right. Exactly. So very excited to talk about that. So we have a lot to discuss, so we won't waste any time. Make sure y'all go out there and subscribe to our Love at First Sight feed, where you can be, if you subscribe, you'll be the first to know when our podcast drop every Friday. So make sure you go subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating and a review. We're going to shout out a couple because we really appreciate when y'all leave us reviews. This one's from Susie _Q, titled Amazing. Jason and Aysha, I can't get enough of your MAFS podcast. I can't wait until Friday each week and eagerly look forward to your opinion, thoughts, and interpretations of each episode's shenanigans. I love the banter and chemistry between you two and how you stand ready to defend your point of views. Thanks for always being thoroughly prepared and making my Friday each week. Keep up the great work. I really appreciate that, Susie, because specifically that point, defend your point of views, because we literally did that right before the podcast and had to say, wait, we'll talk about it.
Stay here for the pod. I had to always defend my completely right point of view and my completely right ratings all the time against Aysha, who's always wrong for some reason. I don't understand.
Anyways.
So the review I want to read is from I Choose the Sun, who was very active on our IG live that we did when we took over the RHAPup podcast Instagram. I Choose the Sun. Thank you so much for stopping in there and keeping the conversation going. It was
also very active in our Facebook group.
Yes,
because when she was commenting on our Facebook group, I was like, "Oh, that's the same person."
Yeah, there we go. Their review is titled "Perfect Balance of Humor," and it cuts off the rest. I think it's information or something. It cuts off the rest of the title. 1 year in, and I have officially found my MAFS fam. From the pod to the Facebook group, Aysha and Jason have nailed the formula for a worthwhile podcast. I Choose the Sun. You're so good to us. Thank you so much. What a great review.
Yes, we're not worthy. We really
You're not
appreciate
worthy. We're not
you.
worthy.
We appreciate you. We appreciate y'all.
Everybody, we appreciate you
Everybody.
all, one and all. Okay.
Exactly. I mean, in extending those appreciations, we want to appreciate our Facebook group, of course. We have a Facebook group. If you have not joined, you've been listening along, you hear us mention the Facebook group, but you haven't joined yet, what are you waiting for? Just do it. Just take the plunge and you won't be sorry. And just look up Perfect Match Podcast and you will find the Facebook group. This week, the password is...
Where's your furniture?
Yeah. There we go. You put it in that password, agree to the group rules, and we will let you in. And we have a great time talking about the episodes, talking about, I mean, it was very active even through the off season of just updating on where the couples were, what was happening on social media. So you don't want to miss out. Go join our Facebook group. Join the 550 plus people that are on Facebook.
Yeah, our episode discussions when the episode's live is getting beefier and beefier every week. We're getting a lot of comments every week on the episode as it's airing. So come in there and follow along with us and have fun talking about these ridiculous nonsense people.
Yes. So definitely having a great time. So yeah, we are going to dive into this episode. I feel like every time the experts come, there's so much dialogue to dissect. But yeah. Pastor Cal, do you feel like he came in and he succeeded in what he tried to do, or do you think it was a fail?
Pastor Cal is always a mixed bag. There's always some things I'm like, all right, Pastor Cal, yeah, good pep talk. And other times like, Pastor Cal, what are you talking about? He got less into the like traditional roles of man and wife, which is usually where I find him faltering. But I felt like this session was mostly positive, was mostly pretty good. I feel like he put his foot down where he needed to put it down, with certain couples.
Yeah, I think my main issue which was consistent with almost all of the couples, was him being so quick to not necessarily judge, but being so quick to brush off the things that they were saying without trying to continue to pry about like why they were feeling that way. Like, don't y'all see what that's just absurd. But if you look at the dynamic, look at these people, they're not in great shape. So maybe there's something there more than the couple just lacking optimism.
Yeah, I felt he did that for a couple of couples. You're like, that's ridiculous. And for some of them, I was like, yeah, that is ridiculous. He needs to show them that it is ridiculous. Other ones are like, yeah, I wish he would have gone a little further into that. So yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from on that. For this episode, we are going to start out with Clint and Gina. This is the episode where we're continuing the kind of visiting each other's. They're really kind of chopping everything up this season. Weirdly, I feel like usually we get everyone going to their apartments and moving in one episode, honeymoon in one episode. It feels like we're in the middle of different segments after we end every episode. It's weird.
Yeah, I think they're getting too caught up on like the hangover. What do you call it? Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
The cliffhanger of it all. When it's like, well, you pretty much tell us all the time in your previews what's about to happen. So I'm never just like, wait a second. What's happening?
Will Dominique leave or stay? Never mind that we've shown you the clip of Dominique leaving 1,000 times in our commercials. So yeah, Clint and Gina. Clint comes over to her place and immediately gets a friendly bonk in the nards from Hank as a welcome home present.
That's a big boy.
Yeah, that's a big guy. She shows him, everything. They go into the bedroom, the closet. He likes how neat and decorated it is. He's looking forward to sharing space together and understanding who each other is. He knows that they have a lot to work on. What were your thoughts on Gina's abode?
I thought it was nice, especially I really took to the high ceilings. I was like, okay, this is really nice. Her bedroom felt huge. So it wasn't like, it felt like her apartment was definitely bigger than the apartments they're given, right?
Yeah.
it was
no wonder she wants to stay there so badly.
Right. It's just a 1-bedroom apartment. And I do specifically remember seeing Hank, and I was like, dang, and she's in an apartment. That is a big dog for an apartment. But oh no, Hank can stretch his legs. Like Hank can probably fetch.
Hank's got a big old pillow he can sit on.
Yeah, I was like, her salon is doing well.
Yeah, obviously. I felt like it was very chic and modern. Like I really liked it. And it's like, maybe instead of moving into that apartment, we can just stay here. Because I mean, Clint and Gina do live in the same building, so it's like, what's the point? We're staying in separate bedrooms anyway. So what's the difference?
But that was my problem. Why didn't we see them go see his apartment? Because we had an hour and a half.
Get on the elevator and go up to his apartment or down to his apartment, wherever.
So give him a flashback like they did Shaq.
Yeah, so weird how they did that. How we went to some people's places, how we just got flashbacks to some people's places with a quick in and out clip. It was weird. Very choppy. She asked him, so how you feeling? They sit down. He says, I'm feeling good. We've spent some time together so far, so I don't really expect any surprises when it comes to living together. She says, well, that's kind of what I want to talk to you about.
Now that you bring that up.
Yeah. Now that I walked you right into that subject, she says, I'm not really feeling great about moving in right away. And so far, I'm not really seeing the progression I'm looking for. Like nothing romantic has happened. And that part's really missing for me. I do want to get to know you, but I just don't have to walk on eggshells as we determine whether or not we're compatible. They should go on Perfect Match and use those compatibility challenges. They might find out.
Yeah, they really work.
Yeah, for sure. He goes, but we are married and we do have to work on it. And we did say we'd marry a stranger and we would work on any hardships that came our way. So I feel like living apart's not really going to help much.
I'm am I sitting up here agreeing with Clint?
Listen, I'm gobsmacked. Gobsmacked, I tell you, by the end of this episode, how Team Clint I am on. I did not expect myself to be in this situation.
I'm like, come on, that is such a valid point. Listen,
such a mature response. Ugh,
yes.
Why does it have to be this way? In a confessional, she says that she knows that they both gave vows, and the last thing that she wants to do is really kind of submit themselves to the issues they're having. He says he wants to really stick it out and see what's going to happen. They sit down again. I'm not sure if we are in the new apartment or are we still in Gina's place. I'm not really positive where we are in this scene.
In this,
the next time they sit and talk about the same thing.
Yeah. Well, when they were, I think they weren't back in the new apartment, so until they started talking about him taking the second bedroom.
Yeah, maybe they're still at Gina's. So they sit and talk again. He says, well, we can try to do the separate bedrooms thing. They have 2 bedrooms, so we can just stay in separate rooms. He says, I really want to make this work, so I'm willing to do whatever. She says, I really don't want to feel forced into moving in right away and not feeling ready to move in together right now. And his confessional, he says, it would be healthy for us to have more exposure to each other, to live together, but he's not going to force her if she's not comfortable. She says again, she doesn't want to go through the motions for the sake of saying, well, we signed up for this, so we have to do it. She doesn't want to go through those motions.
Gina, girl.
Gina, what are you doing?
What are you saying? What you're saying makes absolutely no sense.
None.
Oh, I think for the best thing for our marriage is to live apart. That way we can really, get to know each other better. But if we're in the same place, how is that possible?
You get to know each other by having breakfast together, having meals together in your shared apartment. Like if you are living separately, you're more than likely going to have meals separately. You're going to do everything separately. You might maybe come around you'll definitely come around for filming. But other than that, we have to really think about how often they're being filmed. It's not that often if you really think about it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of time they have apart. Like we saw with Mac and Dom, after she left the first time to saying I'm not moving in, it was 3 days before we saw another scene from them, really. So not being filmed that often, and it's going to be really easy if you're living apart to be like, I don't feel like going all the way over there. I'll just stay here. So I'm assuming Clint will decide to stay in the apartment that they bought for them.
Yeah,
because he said he wants to be a part of the process, and she's going to stay at the place where Clint does have his own apartment. So they're going to be apart. That's not smart. She's copying out. That's what this is.
Literally, I'm like, Gina, just say you don't want to move in. Don't make up all these excuses about the benefit of the marriage. You don't care about the marriage. That's the key right there. Stop trying to justify you moving as a good thing for the marriage. It's an awful thing for the marriage. And you're not going to convince anybody else outside of yourself that that is a good thing. And I was just so annoyed that she just kept using this same excuse. It's like, Gina, come on. Like, give it up.
Just say you feel done with this already, and we can call it a day. You should have taken out that Pastor Cal gave you this episode, but you didn't take it.
Yes, it's just like, be straight up, because especially if you're trying to put your foot down this much, just be straight up that you are done, because it's wasting our time to try to, like, okay, we're hearing this again. But yeah, I just felt like if she actually wanted, if there was any part of her that wanted to make this work, she would agree to be in 2 separate bedrooms. There is no fault in that at all.
If you wanted to even try an iota, it is staying in separate. You just were at a honeymoon where you slept in the same bed, presumably most of the nights. So what is the issue? You're just done with this and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna fake out the 8 weeks and be done. I think that's where we are with her. Cal comes over, Cal's here. He says, how's it going? They're like, well, it's going. In a confessional, Clint says, he knows that she's reluctant, and he feels like it's probably still stemming from the comments he made on the honeymoon, and he really wants to air it out so they can move forward. Cal wants to talk about where it all started to derail, and points out that tells Gina, at first you liked him. You said you were liking, different things about him. She says, yeah, I liked his beard, but I tend to see the good before the bad. I was like, wait, what are you saying here? Like, you're like,
she always digs for the gold. I was like, is that a saying? Do people say that?
I've never heard it. He's like, well, I liked his beard, but I realized I didn't like the rest of it. I didn't like the rest of this. Like, I don't know. That's what I got from her. And she does say that the honeymoon comments about the weight did strike a chord for her. Cal says, it befuddles me because I look at you guys and I say, what the heck? He says, he tells Clint, Gina is not unattractive. I like Cal here. Like, if Cal found her unattractive, what would he say? Would he be like, right. I see where you're coming from. Oh, yikes.
Right. He would never say. Right. He would never say that. And it was just, he's saying this as if it's day one, as if they haven't had all these interactions in order to form a connection outside of what they put on their applications.
Yeah. So Pastor Cal, you're late, bro. This is like, we're in week 2. Like, we're like, you're late to the party. Like, there's been a lot of hurt already. Clint says, well, I never said unattractive. Never said that. And he apologizes again for his comments on the honeymoon. He says, I have eliminated the words, slender and athletic from my vernacular. Won't happen again. He says, he wants to be as adaptive as possible. But then, of course, because this is a like tit for tat type of thing, he says, well, she did disparage me first with the ginger comments.
I knew it was coming too. I was like, there's no way he's going to go out of this conversation without bringing it up.
Of course. I gotta, say my side.
Which only proves that I don't think it only proves, but me thinking he said this which I think a lot of us do think, he said this as a response to her saying that.
Yeah. 100%.
Which is why he does bring it up. Like, I would have never said slender
100%.
had she not.
She started it. She started it. So I mean, Gina has been given every opportunity possible to off-ramp this and apologize and say, I didn't realize it was as offensive as I when I said it. I do realize now that it's offensive. She doesn't take this opportunity. She doesn't take the opportunity. She goes, well, in the hair world, we say ginger all the time, so I thought it was cool. Like, she does not take the opportunity to apologize.
Never acknowledges like that. Like, even if you tell someone, oh my gosh, that black shirt is so dingy, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite shirt. I cannot believe you just said that. Like, that really hurt my feelings. What am I going to say? Oh, I call black shirts dingy all the time. And what do you mean? No, you're going to acknowledge that person's feelings and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, that means a lot to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then Gina says something which just kind of kicks the door open to Gina's like psyche and the way that she thinks. And she says, but what he said about weight is an accusation, not a fact. An accusation?
Yeah.
Gina. So here's the thing. Like before, it was like, when the whole group was together, and Clinton said the comments. It was like, "How dare you talk about a woman's weight?" With the other ladies. Now it's like, "How dare you think I'm fat?" Like that's kind of what she is saying. Like, I don't care that you said the thing about slender athletic. I care that you think I am overweight. Like that's what I care about. I don't care about the fact that you are pointing out women's looks. I care about the fact that you are saying that I'm overweight. Like that really kind of shines a light on what Gina's thinking.
Yeah, which this is a new perspective we're hearing from her. She's probably thought it, but this is the first time she's like explaining it to us on camera how she felt about it. And by him saying that he prefers slender women, she took from that he thinks that she is not an athlete.
And then the weirdness continues because, she's like, it made me wonder if you thought I was lazy and didn't work out. And Clinton says, well, to clarify, when I said athletic, I meant that you are not an athlete. That's what I meant by athletic. She says, how do you know I'm not an athlete? He's like, because we've talked and you have not said a single thing about being in sports. She goes, well, I do HIIT workouts 6 days a week and I can beat your ass in the gym. That means I'm an athlete. No, it doesn't.
I was like, Gina, sweetheart, we have lost the plot.
Yeah, that's
we are so off script.
You're going off on a tangent that doesn't even make any sense because it's not what an athlete is.
Because at this point, we're so far off from the original point that she's trying to really hit home. All she's trying to do is validate her staying at home and not moving in. So it's just like, let's be as combative as possible, no matter where we go with it.
I don't even think it's about the home thing anymore. I think she's totally forgotten about the moving in part. She is transported back in time to the honeymoon. And she is now once again litigating this argument. Like she is like back in that mindset where she is just trying to debate him, saying that she is not overweight. She is an athlete. She is fit. Like she is really trying to like drive it home. Like, and it's weird. And Cal, when a moment where I was like, okay, Cal, good. He's like, listen, we're starting to derail here. Like, and these are some ridiculous comments. You guys are already sabotaging yourselves, talking about what you don't like about each other. If we start that this early, it's not going to be a good thing. He says they need to, and she says, Gina, you not moving in, and you saying it'd be more beneficial to take the time to get to know each other. She says it feels like they're checking a box. That's what she says. Her latest reason for not moving in. Cal says he understands, but it's not right. And he says, I only suggest people spend time apart when there's major hostility. And this notion of let's take time away. He does the thing like, who are you figuring out with? And it kind of was out of nowhere, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, wait, what are you saying, Pastor?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
It's like
we're having 3 different conversations here.
Y'all need Dr. Pepper to come in or something, because
straighten y'all out.
Let's get back on track, because no one's focused. But yeah, that was way in left field. I think what Pastor Cal in this situation needed to do was drive home the point. Why does he understands they have issues, or they had issues on the honeymoon that do still need to be resolved. They do need closure to that argument because they clearly don't have it.
What else can we do to close it out, though? What else can we do?
Well, I think a big thing is Gina acknowledging her wrongdoing in the situation.
Yes, true.
Not that was a cause and effect, that he was just justified in responding that way. He totally was not justified in responding that way. But she needs to acknowledge she said something offensive. He has acknowledged that he said something offensive, but needs to stop following it up with but I'm sorry, but XYZ.
Yes. Yeah.
If he does that and it validates her feelings, she apologizes, validates his feelings, then it could be like, okay, we can finally be on the same page, because they're not on the same page. Maybe not even the same book at this point. But Pastor Cal kept focusing on what they were saying in this moment. It's like, all that's besides the point. we need to focus on why do you not want to move in when you know that is a part of the process. It's not checking a box. It's a part of this experiment. You only have 8 weeks. You don't have 6 months. You have 8 weeks and you don't want to move in.
It's an important part of the process to be around each other, to get to know each other, because if you are out of the apartment, you have an excuse not to come there and spend time with him. That's what it is. And she's checking out, she's copping out, and that's the big problem here. And I feel like Clint is ready to move on. I feel like Clinton's like, okay, I don't even think Clint needs an apology for the ginger thing. I think he just wants to move on from it.
Yeah, he wants to move on with Gina at this point, it feels. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't even care if he gets an apology. Like he wants to be part of the process, and she is just holding on to this. Because as far as I can see, that is literally the only thing that is holding them back is that athletic comment.
Mm-hmm.
He is constantly apologizing for it, but like you said, he's trying to constantly defend it.
Yeah, you leave out the buts, because then she just totally doesn't hear the apology. At this point, she probably at this point would say he's never directly apologized for that. Because she always hears the explanation after the fact. She's like, you can't hear somebody if they're constantly trying to justify the wrongdoing. So yeah.
Al says, I've seen couples bounce back from worse than this. Question is, are you moving forward, or is this the day that we get a divorce? Because if you guys continue to live like this is a step toward your demise. Clint says, he is a person of conviction. When he says he's going to do something, he commits. And he wants to spend time hanging out and growing. And he's committed to her, and he wants to continue. She says, hey, I don't give up either. But I really want to take the time to get to know each other and make it work. Then move in, Gina. Right. She says she still doesn't feel right about moving in. After all this, she says she's still not moving in. She says it will feel worse to move in and sleep separately, because that would automatically set them up for failure.
What? No, there's silly reason number 45. Like, what are you talking about?
What sets you up for a failure is moving miles away from each other and never seeing the person because you have an out right now. That's what will be setting up for failure, and that is what you are doing. But being in the same apartment and like coming out in the morning and getting coffee like with each other, like in the kitchen and small talk, that is the step in the right direction, not what you're doing.
Yeah, because it's not like she's acting. So she's saying walking on eggshells, but it's not like they hate each other at this point. There's no like
she might hate him.
She might. You're right. But I'm like, girl, there are roommates who don't say words to each other. They just they coexist, and that's not walking on eggshells. That's living your life, and y'all live in. And you wouldn't be doing that because you're married. You're supposed to be resolving things. So I don't understand why the 2-bedroom situation can't work for her in her mind. Like, I really want to know what her setback is, what her true setback is, because right now, all I can think is she wants out of this marriage.
Yeah, her setback is she doesn't like this guy. Her apartment is probably close to her salon. She's like, I don't want to have to be moving someplace with a guy I don't even like and having a longer commute to work. I'm not for that life. This did not work out. I just want to float these 8 weeks and be done. So yeah, Cal asked Clint, so do you want her to move in? He says, yeah, I feel like we need, in order to grow, we need exposure. I wish you would stop saying exposure. Cal says that, to make sure that you're speaking positively, and Gina needs the part of Clint that loves fun. She really needs that out of him to make her grow. And he says, you need part of her too. He's not specific. He's like, you need some part of her as well. She helps you in some way.
I can't quite remember what they wrote down on the script. I
don't have my notes handy, but just trust me, some part of her is good for you, Clint.
Yeah, I will say I was quite impressed with his recall with Dom and Mac.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing he says when he's in the chair. And he's like talking to us, the audience. We matched Dom and Mac because blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Well, he's like, I know there's some reason we thought
just trust me good on that. For Clint. I can't get the specifics right now, but trust me, some part of her is good for you. Yeah. Gina's getting emotional. She says, it's really hard to take the steps that you're uncomfortable with.
call it what it is. She realizes at this point she has nowhere else to turn because every other reason has not worked. So she's like, let me put on a tier or two.
It's how to turn on the
the only
waterworks.
way to get out of this.
She says, I'm just not comfortable with it. I'm still uncomfortable. I'm not moving in. Cal says, oh, well, we'll take it day by day. And he confirms with both of them. He says, you guys are both willing to give it another try. And that means pushing past uncomfortable feelings. And being married requires sacrifice and change. And that's where we leave Clint and Gina for this week. Frank, on a scale of 1 to 5, are they going to be together through the reunion? Where are you?
Oh my goodness. Well, the fact that I feel like Gina already has 2 feet out of the door. Mm-hmm. She probably just has a hair strand still in the marriage. I'm gonna go 1.
Yeah, she's got her 2 feet and Hank's 4 feet out the door. Yeah, I have to give it a 1. I just don't see much hope for these two because there's no chemistry.
Yeah,
they kind of hate each other. She's not willing to move in yet. It's a solid 1.
Yeah, it's kind of like because she was explaining to him, earlier that like there's been nothing romantic for the past week, and
because you're not letting it be romantic.
Exactly. The door is not open for 1. And then for 2, I just feel like it's like she has the ick with which we can see that now with a few of the people, but it just feels like she has the ick about everything now at this point with him.
Yes, but we got the ick with Clint very early on in the season. Let's not forget that. Like the way that he speaks, the fratty, broy nature of which he speaks, I think is probably also a turnoff for Gina. I think it would be a turnoff for a lot of people. So I think there may be a little more than the slender comment that's affecting her. So who knows? But yeah,
they did spend 2 hours, and we got to see barely 5 minutes of that. I will say my main issue is if you're done, be done. Mm-hmm. Don't, I do want to make it work. Because then what are you doing?
She should have taken the out that Pastor Cal gave for this episode.
Literally, it was there.
Yep.
The alley-oop was thrown. She was right over the basket, and she hit it away.
Pastor Cal is like, listen, I would like to cut down my workload by 1/5, by 20%. Go ahead and call it.
Be careful what you ask for.
I'm checked out anyway. Just go ahead and end it. Less work for me. Go ahead.
He's like, I only got 1 more visit in me this season anyway.
He's like daring them. He's like, go ahead, end it. Go ahead. Right. You scared? Do it.
Yeah, I want to see him say, we'll cancel this season right now.
You ain't hurting me.
This season won't make air. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do it. Do it. Give me your ring right now. Give me your rings. Go ahead. I'll help you pack.
Right. Oh, God.
Where are we heading next, Asia?
Yeah. Well, I will say, to add on to my earlier point about Pastor Cal, is they do treat these people like, and I know the situation. If you're getting married at first sight, you do desperately want to be married, but they treat them as such that because they desperately want to be married, they can make it through whatever, which isn't the case.
Yeah.
So,
like, you are so desperate to make this work, you should overlook every single thing, every single red flag.
Exactly.
Because we did such a good job of matching you. And we know it's not our problem. You're the problem.
Right. Exactly. So where we're going next, we will talk about, let's knock out Kirsten Shack, who for another week in a row, little content as possible.
Oof. Our boring couple of the season that will go nowhere and just crash and burn.
Literally, how do you have a boring couple but not usually the boring couple is the perfect couple.
Yeah.
You can't be boring and have little issues that we don't know about. So
if only they were Nicole and Chris giving us everything we need.
Exactly. They go to her apartment and that's their first scene, walking into her apartment. It is bare. Literally the blank wall at the entry is what stood out to me, was just like bare wall, no bar stools. I was like, oh, I was thinking maybe her apartment's like a little tight, you know, like maybe there's just nothing there. But then they scan and there is just neutral colors everywhere. Not a picture in sight, not a decoration in sight, nothing.
She moved into this apartment yesterday. She was homeless she was homeless 2 days ago, and she got this furniture and put this bed in here yesterday. Like, that's what this looks like. The carpet in her room is super bright and super like not worn. Like, she moved in here yesterday. Like,
yeah, because on After Party, she did say what had happened was
in
2020, she did make an order for like a nightstand, a dresser, all this kind of stuff. And then it was back ordered for 6 to 8 months. And so she was like, well, that takes too long. I'm gonna cancel it. But girl,
that's when
you go find you go find something else. Like you
go anywhere else. Walmart, Target, Amazon. They sell furniture everywhere. Like,
yeah. And I understand what it means to want something specifically. Like, one of my friends who listens to the podcast, she ordered a couch that literally took a year, but because she wanted that specific couch. And so, like, I understand if you have this whole look that you're going for, right? You want a specific thing. You're going to go for that, but you're also going to find something in the interim that's going to fill that space.
Yeah, get a cheapy like chest of drawers from Walmart for like $80. Like,
yeah, she said, forget it.
Forget that. I'll just throw all my clothes in the closet.
Right.
We crapped on Mac, last week, but Mac had more stuff than Kirsten. Like,
yeah,
at least Mac had a picture of someone else's family.
Yeah.
Kirsten didn't have anything.
Right. Exactly. So they flash back to she's like, yeah, it's a little bit different than his place. And they flash back to them going to his place. Like, we get a home visit in 5 seconds. They show that he had a lot of plants, a lot of pictures, and a full closet. And I'm like, why did we have to flashback? Why didn't we get a proper scene?
We could have at least gotten a montage of like just some quick cuts of Shaq's place. I don't understand what they're doing here.
They said, hey, this is what you're going to get because we have an hour and a half. So she explained she's a minimalist. So that's why it looks like this. She has just enough of what she needs. And he's like, dang, you ain't got no bar stools? She's like, nope, don't need them. And then he's like, no pictures. She's like, oh, I got a picture over there. Cut to the ring dish in the corner with a picture that's in like a keychain frame.
A 3x4.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Yeah. Oh, he said it looks like she moved in yesterday. And like we said, she doesn't even have a nightstand. And so it's very bare. Like, her laptop is on the ground charging next to her bed. She says he's like, where do you put your phone? She's like, oh, I put it on my bed. Which, if you know how filthy phones are, like, I only recently, like in the past couple of years, I like regularly wipe down my phone because like with like a Clorox wipe type of thing, because there's so many germs out here and you set your phone everywhere.
I guess, but there are germs everywhere, Aysha. You are full of germs. Everyone is full of germs. Like,
yeah, but why so why do we shower? Just
are you a night shower or are you a morning shower? Let's get this out of the way.
Oh, I'm a night shower all the way.
Okay.
I do not get in my bed if I have been out in the elements.
Nope, I'm a morning shower. So I like to go to work so fresh and so clean as possible as I can be. You like to go with all your bacteria fermenting overnight.
No, what happens is I shower at night, and then for the past 2 months I've been doing morning workouts. So I go work out and then I shower in the morning.
Well, look at you. Aren't you just perfect?
I'm just saying, because I shower at night and I wash my sheets on a regular basis. Like,
I think there's so much made about like, oh, your phone has so much germs. I don't
put bags on my bed. Do you know how many places we've set like our purses and our suitcase? Like, no, I don't sit on my bed with outside clothes on.
Aysha's house is hermetically sealed. Like, no germs allowed. I say germs schmerms is what I say to germs. I'm all about germs.
Oh my!
That's how you build a strong immune system, Aysha. You let the germs in a little bit at a time.
That's what
Anyway,
people say. It just makes me cringe. Cute or cringe? Cringe.
cringy.
That's a
Shout out to you,
reference to
perfect
Perfect
matchers.
Match.
Yeah, shout out to
Yes.
you people that listen to our Perfect Match coverage. Not
Yes.
this podcast, Perfect Match, but the other show, Perfect Match. I can't wait till Perfect Match is over so we can stop.
I know.
explaining that.
I know. We have to. Every time it requires an explanation.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the biggest thing about her apartment is like her closet. That's where the mess is. She just has it all in there. Any type of way, clothes hung up any type of way.
Where's all your stuff? Open the door. Oh, here it is.
Oh, here it is.
You shoved it all in here like a teenager trying to say the room is clean. You just shoveled everything into one space.
Yeah. I guess like the shoe racks were back ordered too because she got her shoes all across the floor. And so she said she was like, oh, does my closet like, make you nervous, whatever. He said he got anxiety literally walking into her closet.
Like a jungle in there.
Yeah.
Like how can you go from one world where there's almost nothing there and then open one door and be like, oh, this is where the mess is. I thought you were just kind of a clean freak, but no, you're not. You just don't have anything. Everything you have is in this one small closet space.
Yeah, it's like opening the door to Narnia. So we only got 2 scenes with them. So the second scene we got with them was with Pastor Cal. So Pastor Cal arrives and he asked about the wedding. They're like, it was like a family reunion. Our families were just getting along. It was great. Pastor Cal asked about their marriage, and she says it feels natural, doesn't feel like he's a stranger anymore. And he's like, okay, yeah, look.
Things going good.
Right. And so she does bring up they did have the little, like Pastor Cal asked about the honeymoon, and they did have like the little debate on the honeymoon. Pastor Cal's like, what's the issue? She's like, well, he jokes and like it's like a time and a place for that. And Pastor Cal's like, look, my wife thinks my jokes are corny. I do not care. You're just gonna have to learn to brush that off.
Exactly.
No,
yes, 100%.
Yes.
100.
Yes.
I am in a total agreement with Pastor Cal here.
But my issue is y'all aren't all the same people. You act like it's just copy and paste. Oh, joke. Y'all just do dad jokes, so it's cool.
Yeah, just be cool with it. Like be like, oh, you're so ridiculous. Like she is. I don't know where she even got this. This play too much thing from. We have almost never seen Shaq joke. Like
we've also almost never seen Shaq. That's the thing.
That's true. That's true. But you have to allow your husband to be a little corny. Like I am with Pastor Cal on this. Like we can't all be super serious. I get that she's saying he's picking the wrong time to do it.
That's what I'm about to say.
I guess
that's the issue.
I'm wondering if she's too sensitive. If she's too like. If what she is saying is the wrong time is actually the wrong time.
Well, I think it's 2 things. Because I think one is her first explanation, which she explained during the honeymoon, is like she's trying to get to know him. And if he's joking all the time, he's joking so often that she feels like she's not getting a balance.
No, but he's not Mac joking. He's not like, you don't know if it's a joke or not. Like
but we don't, that's what I'm saying. We're going based off of what we've just seen.
Or what we've been told. Like, this is what we're being told. We haven't really even seen it. We keep just getting
random flashbacks with them.
Right.
I also think the second thing is when someone is unattractive to you and they are doing all this joking, it's extra annoying. I can guarantee you that. It's just like, that's too much. Too much on too much.
I feel like there's a big part of it where she's just being too sensitive. And I think like if we take that, that flashback joke we got a couple episodes ago where he's like making fun of her for having too many bags or whatever. I didn't say anything wrong with that. I was like, I think she's being a little too sensitive in that moment.
See, yeah, that's like, for one, there's context, because was it a situation like it had already been a long day of travel, you were already struggling, and he was choosing that moment when you're exhausted? I'm never just joyful in an airport. So I'm like, was it one of those situations? Or was it what you're saying? Was she being too sensitive? It's hard to say, but I will say that if she were attracted to him And she felt like they were getting along well. She was really getting to know him. She could see potential in him. And he, on top of that, he was doing these corny dad jokes. She would think that was endearing. She may have not think, oh, he's hilarious, but she's like, he's so silly. Like, she would brush it off. But that's my issue with Pastor Cal, is he's isolating it, is he just says dad jokes. I say dad jokes. You've also been with your wife for 20 years and y'all have depth. You have a foundation. Like, you and your wife love each other. You cannot compare that to her who was initially unattracted to him. It's still lingering. It hasn't completely gone away. It's not like, oh, I used to be unattracted to him and now I'm all in. So she's still getting there.
I think a big part of this, from what I think we've seen of Kirsten, I think a big part of this is she is a little uptight. I think she needs to loosen up a little bit. Calm down. Not calm down, but just loosen up. Have some fun, Kirsten. I think she takes herself a little too seriously sometimes. Just by the way she has carried herself so far in this season is how I feel about her. Like, I don't see her, being open to having fun. I haven't seen much of that. We saw her dancing with Shaq, and I've just been getting mixed signals from Kirsten. It's hard to read.
She is very hard to read. Very hard to weed.
Yeah, very hard to weed. Thought you're talking to Cinnamon and Pepper from there with your baby talk.
I looked down at Cinnamon because she like kicked the wall and her little legs are stretched out. It was so cute.
Are you trying to weed?
You trying to weed? So Pastor Cal, so she explains the stuff and she just says she wants that connection on an emotional level. And Pastor Cal was like, okay, is there chemistry here? And this is what we were seeing in the previews. I was thinking it was edited. You had started thinking it was not. You were right.
Yeah.
It was not edited. And she said, no, not really. And he was like,
I'm thinking like, okay, then you're not seeing what we're seeing, because I see chemistry there. There may not be a lot of friendship.
I don't see chemistry.
I see some chemistry in the romantic sense. She doesn't see it. You don't see it. I see it when they're together. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Because I was thinking that since the beginning. They have a great friendship. They get along like two buddies, for real. But if she's not feeling romantic with him, then I could see why she's saying she doesn't think there's chemistry. But he does feel romantic with her. So he does see chemistry.
She's like, must be nice.
Yeah, he's like, well, when we go to sleep at night, she's like laid up on me.
Yeah. We've seen her several times be very like physically touching and physically affectionate with him.
Mm-hmm.
She just, for some reason, not letting her lips touch his lips. Like,
no, I was waiting for you to bring that up. Not once did they say they haven't kissed.
That's true.
They never said, and Pastor Cal,
he would be in all in that.
Kiss.
What's the problem? You kiss your mother, don't you?
Exactly.
Why can't you kiss your husband?
Pastor Cal,
do you kiss your friends hello at brunch? What's the problem? Why do you sound Italian? What's the problem? What's the problem? It's not a big deal.
We have done so many accents this season.
On a season where there's no accents.
Right.
Which is the weird thing.
We're just trying to force them. But yeah, no, Pastor Cal would not miss an opportunity to bring that up and to press it home, to say, just do it. It's a kiss. This is your husband. Just kiss him. They never once said that. And so I'm like,
so you think this is happening and like
no, I don't think it's happening. I just think it has happened.
You think it's happened once?
Maybe once or twice.
I mean, he did reference kissing her on the forehead.
He did, but he never said we still haven't kissed. Which he would have brought up had they not, because we literally saw him ask her for a kiss. Like, it would be a running thing.
I feel like that's a failing on Married at First Sight's part. Married at First Sight and Married at First Sight after party. Because Kirsten was on there and basically gave us nothing on the after party. I don't know why she was even there. But maybe it's maybe she refuses to do it on camera. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah. And they can't. I mean, I think it has happened, because there was no way we would not have gotten conversation about it. Yeah. Especially here with Pastor Cal, with Olajuwon and Katina. It's your wife. Just do it. What you waiting for?
All be your business.
Literally.
Go ahead. Do it right now. Right in front of me. Do it.
It's too much.
Shaq, close your eyes. Cursor, close your eyes. I'll move in.
I would be like, now I don't want to do it.
Yeah. I'm feeling really awkward in front of you, Pastor Cal.
Exactly.
I think you should leave.
Yeah. So Pastor Cal basically goes on a spiel of explaining that like her needs are going to have to be clearly communicated, because right now she's expecting him to respond to what she's feeling and not what she's told him. And she says like, it's a lot, you know, just being vulnerable and opening up. And Shaq says he feels like he's been more vulnerable than her. And
I feel like Shaq was taking this moment to be like teacher's pet. He's like, Pastor, I've been doing everything right that you told us to do. I just want to be acknowledged, and I would like to have an A for husbandry at this moment, like a progress report.
Yeah.
Have you given me an A?
Yes, literally. Shaq explains that like when they have conversation, he asks her about something, then she always pivots it back to him. And Pastor Cal was like, well, you have to give her a safe space to, you know, open up. And but she also has to just blindly trust you. And so then Pastor Cal ends his session with them, telling them they are the perfect example of power couple.
Can you stop saying power couple,
please?
Can we get rid of that?
Stasha and Nate were a power couple. Chris and Paige, power couple. Stop calling people power couples.
It's always those black couples, like.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, they're a power couple. Bet you Woody and Imani were a power couple too. I don't remember, but they were.
Yeah, or was it Miles and Karen, because Miles was a principal.
True. Who knows?
They probably said it at one point.
I'm sure. I'm positive.
But yeah, so that was all we got from Kirsten and Shaq. You know, I am surprised at how they are both still in it. Like they both seem to still be invested. I did not expect that from them, especially of all the couples. If we had to like rank, they probably would have been down there with like where Gina and Clint are. But I will say they are giving it an effort, but with her having this wall up, that's going to make things really difficult. And I think she just needs to be honest with herself, how she's really feeling about him. Because I think that's really what's holding her back, because she's trying to say like, well, this is my husband and I think he's a great guy. So do a lot of girls think their guy friends are great guys, but they don't want to be with them. So
you just want to keep my man in the friend zone for the life.
I don't want him to be in the friend zone, but I'm just saying what this situation is. You can't just fabricate something. So 1 to 5, 1 being you think they're going to not be together by the reunion, 5 being you think they will. Where are you at?
I mean, they have room for improvement for sure, but they are not in a horrible mess. I do wonder if I'm grading on a curve a little bit because we have so many like bad couples, but I think I'll put them at a 3 for right now.
Okay.
Because
you've been at a 3.
Yeah, they got room to grow, and they're not at the bargain bottom basement of a couple. They're kind of steady. I think steady in a not great way, but they are steady. No real arguments. So I think I'm going to put them at a 3.
Yeah, I'll maintain my 3 as well. I'm just really nervous. I think if we're at like, episode 12 and still she's like, I just don't see. I'm like, okay, girl, give it up. But there is still opportunity for things to grow. There's still time. They just moved in together, so now that they're back and maybe things, they're going to have the housewarming party. They're going to get their friends' opinions. And so maybe things will start to grow. She lets her wall down and, maybe she will start developing real feelings for him.
Yeah. Time will tell.
All right. Where do you want to go next?
Let's hit Jasmine and Eris. They go to her parents' house. Now, she didn't mention on After Party last week that she was also going through transition. I didn't really know what that meant at first, but it means that she also lives with family, apparently, because they're at her parents' house where she lives.
Oh, that's what she said?
Yeah.
She was at her parents' house?
Yeah, she mentioned that she was in a similar situation as Mac. She put it as, in transition.
Didn't know,
on
no one who lives in Nashville.
Who knows? But yeah, it did come up on the Chiron in the episode Jasmine's parents' house when they
Gotcha.
were entering
Okay. I think at
entering
that
the
exact
place.
moment I was writing down, I didn't know Jasmine had a house.
Jasmine's nervous about how he's going to react to the dogs because we get the flashback to her telling him that she has 13 dogs around. They enter the house and there's for Jasmine's parents' house, they have a shrine to Jasmine. Like it's seemingly in the living room with all of her pageant stuff. They're very proud of their daughter.
I mean, she's done very well in the pageant world. I would think, I've seen that from friends who are in the pageant circle. Like that's their family's focus because you have to spend so much time. So I wasn't surprised by that at all.
Yeah, they go through all of her titles. They mess with the crown. He's like, yes, I got you're like a black queen, like a black Game of Thrones. In a confessional, he says, I asked for a black queen, and that's what they gave me. And seeing her with the crown really makes that come to life. She walks him through her whole pageant career, and then in the background, you hear the dogs barking as if they were podcasting with Aysha Welch. He says, "Oh, is that where all the 20 dogs are?" They go see the dogs. He talks about how he does mention he got traumatized when he was 3 years old by a dog biting him. But they do mess around with the puppies. He holds a puppy named Tesla, who is apparently the runt of the litter. And I think he's really starting to come around to this. He's like, hope they don't, it's all fun and games. So they start peeing in the house. And the little cute puppy falls asleep in his hand. She also shows him Duchess, who I guess is the main dog, because that is the dog that is coming to the apartment. The one dog that will be coming to the apartment. She's not bringing two, the max two. She's bringing one, I guess, to ease him into this.
Yeah, because the other 9 she's gonna give away.
Oh, I mean, she has 3 others, right? She has 3 other dogs.
Where are they? Her families, or are they hers?
I don't. She said she had 4 dogs, remember, and then she had 9 puppies.
Right. Well, we didn't see them. I think I think Duchess is her baby, and that's the mom. But I will say that it's relatable with his story about being 3 and being traumatized, because I too was 3. And I don't know if I've told this story on a podcast before, where when I was 3, I was at my grandma's house, my granny's house, and I was outside by myself. It was a moment, not just browsing around at 3. And her dog came up behind me and barked. And literally, I was afraid of dogs my entire childhood, all the way until college. Terrified of dogs. I couldn't even, when I would go to friends' houses, I'm like, do you have a dog? And if they did, I'm like, please put it up, or
wow,
I can't come in. Yeah, literally, I was terrified, which in hindsight, how dare I ask these people to put away their dogs?
I feel like this is a big part of your story. Where was the change? When did the change happen?
So it happened in college. So I had a couple of friends, or one of my sorority sisters had a dog. And so I was around her dog more, and I was like, okay, this dog isn't so bad. And I got more acquainted with it. And then I was like, okay, when I can meet a dog and really get familiar with it, I'm okay. And so then my best friend got a dog. And so then I loved her dog. And it took a while. I was scared at first, a lot of the first meetings, but then I started liking her. And then I was still I still had the instant fear. I could calm down, but I'd still have the immediate fear. And then when I had a roommate a few years ago, she said, hey, I want a dog. And I was like, okay.
I hate dogs, though.
I got to deal with it.
You are a real Cruella de Vil, and now look at you.
Literally, that was 2020. She got her dog Noodles, and I was scared of little baby Noodles for a little bit. And then I got so used to him, fell in love with him, and then I got Pepper. And the rest is history.
I honestly did not realize that your love of dogs was so recent. That really explains a lot.
Does it really?
It does. It does.
And yeah, it was a very I've been afraid of dogs longer in my life than I have loved them the way that I do now.
Barked behind you? Was it like a menacing bark, or was it just like a surprising bark?
It was a surprising bark. Yeah, he meant no harm.
And that scared you away from dogs for like 15 years.
Yeah, literally, like a dog's bark was was scarier to me than like even just seeing it or
wow.
Yeah, being next to it. But yeah, literally, it is very recent. And so then I got Pepper and I went all in and got Cinnamon last year.
Yeah, you are all in, that's for sure.
Literally. That's why even now, we're no longer talking about Married at First Sight. We're just talking about this.
We're talking about our lives. Welcome to the Jason and Aysha show, where we're just talking about just shooting the ish, just talking about our lives.
Is this Pod Friends? Yeah, no. So that's why, like, even now, even going to dog parks is a little much. But having them, dogs are way more interested in that. Like, I understand dogs a lot more than I used to. So it's not like it's present. So
you can really get in the psyche of a dog now.
Right. Because of Bao, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do when you meet Tofu?
Yeah, I'll love Tofu. If I ever get to meet Tofu.
You're going to run up to Bao like, oh, hey, Bao, Tofu, come here.
That's the way it goes.
So Jasmine's really impressed with how Eris is getting along with the dog. She says that really, the fact that he's enjoying the dog aspect of my life is really making me more attracted to him. But she says, yeah, but I do fall in love real quick. So hopefully I won't regret this. Like, come Jasmine.
I'm glad she acknowledged that.
Oh my gosh. They then get into their meeting with Pastor Cal at the apartment. He says, how did everything go with the wedding? She says, yeah, I had a great time. It was great. I was relieved when I saw he was easy on the eyes. He was fine. And Eris says, Pastor Cal asked about the honeymoon. He says, well, the honeymoon. That's a long pause from Eris as he's thinking about how he's going to put this. He says, I was really stressing because she was more. I'm sorry, let me get to my Eris voice. I was really stressing because she was more attracted to me than I was to her. And unfortunately, it's not equal yet.
Imagine he gets a podcast after this season.
Would he be great or would he be terrible? Would it be like an ASMR type of thing, like put you to sleep, or would you just be bored?
I think the content will be entertaining for someone. I don't think it would be boring, but voice.
As Eris tells all of his sex stories on his podcast, where he's on balconies doing R&B type of video, as he said. Right. Cal says, well, can you like at least see that she is attractive? He says, like, the way he answered this is like, yeah, I can see that. I can see she's attractive. She's just not my type. I'm just like, wow, we are just really being like, just ripping the Band-Aid off here.
And she was nodding along like, yep, I'm just not his type.
Yeah, like Cal says, well, how do you feel about that, Jasmine? She says, well, I would really prefer if he was attracted to me and really just like wanted to rip my clothes off. Like, that's what I would prefer.
Here comes Pastor Cal. Say it again.
Yeah, say it again, girl. Like, do it right now. That's what I'm talking about. You're getting nasty.
It's getting a creepy, uncle. What are you doing, Pastor Cal?
Say it again. Ooh.
I'm about to start calling you Cal like Jason. I can't keep doing the Pastor Cal. You gonna keep acting like this.
He says, Eris says, he felt that from her, like she wanted him to be more attractive. He said that's why he was feeling guilty the whole honeymoon. He was really wondering why he doesn't feel that way. And he says normally it's the other way around. He's very sexual, but his mind wasn't there on the honeymoon, and he wonders if he's just making too much of this. Like, is he really getting in his own head? Cal says, yes, that's it. He says, you can really make or break this based on how you are feeling about things and what your mindset is. And, he asks, how's the physicality? Like, how is are y'all touching? Like, be really specific. Cal says, I really want to know, like, what's the vibe? Speak slowly. Eris says, well, we do hold hands. And we have, we do have like skin to skin contact, as they have a shot of him like placing his hand on like her knee or whatever. And Cal says, how do you feel when that's happening? Just go slowly. Eris says it does feel natural. Cal says, well, that's big. And, he wonders how much of what Eris is feeling has to do with being involved, like in this whole big process, with the whole show and everything. And if he feels like he has to really kind of perform, and if that's really getting in his head.
You can't miss Eris saying single Eris used to be making R&B videos on the balconies.
He's like, if we had that suite we had on the honeymoon normally, I'd be making R&B videos and we doing all types of stuff, private shower. Cal's like, yeah, keep going. What else would you do?
Oh god.
Someone's gonna turn the podcast off because I need to stop that. Cal tells Jasmine too. So what do you like about Eris? This is what we've been waiting for, right? We've been waiting to see like what does Jasmine actually like about Eris?
Right. Please inform us.
She says, well, I like his honesty. I like his work ethic. I like the fact that he's always striving to be better. And he does make me feel comfortable. What do we think about this? Is this like, okay, I mean, he tells the truth. He goes to work. It's like, I feel like that's fine, I guess.
Yeah, because she says like he's honest even when she does, like even if it's gonna hurt her feelings. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something to that because ladies, that there is something to that because so often when you're with someone who's being deceptive, you're not getting that honesty. So when you get someone who is overly honest, it's like, whoa, okay, I like this because
it makes you question less, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, there's no room for having to figure anything out. And then it's like, okay, but even when they are honest about like him saying she's not his type, well, at least he's being honest. Then I don't have to guess about anything else. But then you reach a point where you're like, okay, I was blinded by how honest you were. And I didn't see that like the honesty that you do have sometimes is a little bit damaging and it's not a good thing. And like, it happens because and I think a lot of guys think that too. They're like, well, if I'm honest, like she'll be fine because I'm putting it all out there. But
yeah,
like,
I mean, but it
matters what you put out there too, though.
Right. It's that blunt honesty that we've seen time and time again of like a Mitch, of even a Clint this season, where it's like, yeah, but you could deliver a little bit. It's what you teach children when you're teaching them how to tell the truth and when the right time to tell the truth is and how you tell it. Like that's what we try to teach children when they're growing up. I'm sure you've had the same issue with Pepper and Cinnamon because they are like children. So Eris does say it makes him feel good to hear all the good things he said that she said about him, and he feels like it means they have a solid foundation. So Cal asks him, okay, so now you do the same. Eris says, well, I like that you work with kids. I think you would be a great role model and person. I like how close-knit your family is. I like you're a go-getter. You do so many things. And then he says, I feel like I would be, if we had kids and I died before her, I would die peacefully, knowing my kids are in good hands with her. I was like, that's not as romantic as you make that sound, Eris. Like, I don't think that's the compliment you mean to make it sound like.
In his head, he's like, she ate that up. She thinks I want her to be the mother of my children. I know she loved that.
And his thing has always been like, I feel like she would do a lot for me. I feel like she would really cook for me all the time. I feel like she would take care of the kids good. Like
she would totally be my mom.
Yeah.
It's all about like caretaker with him.
Yes.
With her,
what she can do for him. Like
yes. Nothing about what he explained is about her personality or anything to have to do with like day to day. It was like, I don't know. It was, I'm trying to figure out like what was missing that he would have said about someone that he did. I was going to say that he did fancy.
Oh my gosh. Can we transport it to 1920? Like, Where do we go?
I couldn't find the word.
That's an Aysha Welch word. Is it someone you fancy?
Okay, someone he did, like, he was attracted to.
She hot. That's what he was like.
Right.
Want to tap that all the time.
Right. It's like, yeah, it's like the language we hear from all the men on Perfect Match.
Yes. You're a smoke show.
Right. Because
at least say she's beautiful.
At
least like she's beautiful, she's kind. Not like you're a good role model. Like I'm not really looking. I'm not necessarily looking for that. Like a wife. Like you're a good role model. Like that's something you say to a friend or an acquaintance. Like you're a good role model. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's because he's focused on like it's like he sees, you know, a wife in that traditional sense where he's thinking like, okay, caretaker and mom. He's like, she's gonna take care of me. I see those things, and I think she would be a great mom. But then it's totally like missing her being his partner.
Or yeah, it's like she's loving, she's compromising, she's compassionate, something just in a romantic sense. Like,
yeah.
Beautiful. Not like you're a really good worker. Like that's what it sounded like. Like
yeah.
You do things well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kyle says, oh, okay, good. Like y'all really need to focus on the things that you like about each other, and then you can fall in love with that and stop focusing on, you know, the negative. Kyle says, she knows that you see her value, but she does want to feel desired. And if it feels natural to keep holding hands and keep speaking the positive, that attraction can grow. Eris says, yeah, I feel like, you know, you guys really gave me what I needed, but not at all what I wanted.
Right. I was like, you definitely wanted to add that part.
He didn't say it last part, but that was the implied saying. Like,
yes,
you matched me with what I needed, but I was really looking for you to give me what I wanted. So Jasmine and Eris, where were we last week with these two?
So last week I was a 2 and you were a 1.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and bump them up to a 2. I'm going to do that. How about you?
Okay. I'm going to actually go back down to my 1.
Oh, no. We keep flip-flopping.
I know. I'm caught up on Eris and the fact that he is still talking about the fact that she's not his type. She's not his type. And I think that's going to be his hang up. He's not going to be able to move past that because he's already confirmed it. She's not his type. And he's just going to be like, what am I going to do with that? And Eris doesn't strike me as someone who thinks that you can be with someone who's not your type. We're talking about a 39-year-old man, never been in love. He's been living this bachelor life for at least 19 years. Let's give him that. 20, he probably started going wild and has been doing it for 19 years. And he doesn't plan on stopping soon. He snoozed his dating apps. Let's not forget. Okay, I will never forget that. And so I just feel like they're on such an uneven playing field. Even for him to say in front of her to Pastor Cal that she's so much more attracted to him than he is to her. Like,
Pastor
why?
Cal, you gotta understand, she's all over me. She really wants this. She really wants to eat all this up, and I'm just not into it.
Right. I'm pushing her away left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if it had anything to do with Jasmine, I would say I would have them probably at a 4 because she wants this so bad. But Eris is going to single-handedly be the demise of this. I think they could even make it to decision day and she says, yes, let's stay together. And he would say no.
Yeah, that might be where it's heading. But I am happy with the fact that he's still here and he is still trying. He's not totally giving up. And like I said, maybe I'm grading on a curve because our other couples are so bad. Jazz and Eris are not as bad as that. Like, they are still giving it a try. I still think he is committed. I think he is still going to try. Do I think the try is going to be successful? I would probably say no if I had to pick right now. But I think as of right now, I'm at a 2 because I see a little ray of hope, just a little ray of hope.
But I think it's a try only for the cameras.
For Eris?
Yeah. Like, well, I am on TV, so let me go ahead and.
I don't know if Eris cares that much about the TV cameras. I don't know if he really cares about looking that good on TV. Because God knows he has not cared any other time because he said all this nonsense on camera.
Yeah. I mean it in like not that he is totally, but in a respecting the process type of way. Like, okay, I am here. I'm Married at First Sight. Might as well, but not in like a genuine way.
Okay. I can see that. But I mean, listen, I'm at a 2. I'm not like a 4.
Yeah, you're not at a 4. We did get in the preview. Eris is gonna have a sit down with Felina, and she said, "I'm not
Felina's back. Yes, let's go. Welcome back."
She is not going to the housewarming party though.
What? Come on, Felina. Like, give us what we want. Give us our entertainment.
Right.
And we did get.
Go ahead.
I think you're going to say the same thing I was about to say.
Okay, we did get to see Jasmine say that she did not feel respected by her, which we're assuming is Felina because she's the only one who's disrespected her so far.
Yep.
And well, yes, the only woman, I guess. And she said that she was called a fake person by Felina, or she says by her, which I'm assuming is Felina.
Well, she said she felt like she was called fake by her. Like,
yes.
I mean, I can't wait for that. I think that I'm gonna love it. I cannot wait for the return of Felina.
She gonna come in like a wrecking ball.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if she's gonna say, "I told you so."
Yeah,
because ain't no way Eris is like, yeah, it's great. Like, I see great things. I really see a great future.
If I was Eris, I'd go in there and lie my ass off. Like, she is fantastic. You were so wrong.
I don't think he has it in him.
I don't think so. All right, so that's Jasmine and Eris. Where are we headed to next?
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Nicole and Chris, our shining couple.
Shining stars, kind of.
Who like to just pull things out of thin air to try to make us mad.
Yeah, for sure.
So we start off with her going to meet his 2 dogs, Coda and Kobe, and she's very excited to meet them. She's like, they're gonna be her 2 sons, which there's just so much crossover with Perfect Match. If you've seen it, there was a question about our dogs, children. Would you consider your first dog your first child? And Nicole here, she said these will be her 2 sons. So
yeah, listen, we're not going to relitigate this on this podcast because Lord knows we've been over this a million times.
Yes.
But I think for those that have listened for a while, you know our individual stances.
Right. Here, if you're watching the YouTube version, here we go. So when the dogs greet her, Chris is like, yeah, exactly. Chris goes, "It's your mama." They're very excited.
My eyes almost got stuck in the top of my head from rolling them so hard.
I knew. But yeah, the dog's very pleasant greeting. They are 2 big dogs, but I could see them matching him well. And she walks around his place. She's like, okay, this is definitely a bachelor pad. Like, no type of headboard on his. It's just like a mattress.
That's on the floor. These dogs are rambunctious. They are like all over the place.
Yeah. So Coda is on his bed, humping the covers, just the air, but on the covers, just humping the air. Then they go to the living room.
This man sleeps in dog ejaculate. Like, just think about that.
Yeah.
Talk about germs in your bed.
So
he doesn't wash his sheets but once a month. Remember that?
Right.
He said that.
Yes, he did say once a month. Coda, they go to the living room and Coda is humping the couch. And then Nicole's like, well, if he's been watching his dad, then I have a lot to look forward to.
Nicole.
Oh gosh.
I don't think I could live that way. I don't think I could live in a house where dogs are just constantly humping things. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could sit on the couch and look over and my dog is humping the couch. I'd be like, that's not a thing.
Right.
Why are we doing that?
I will say the humping with guy dogs are just, it's excessive sometimes. I'm glad I have heard, well, have I heard that? I don't know. But I will say Pepper and Cinnamon do not hump anything. And
I
so
mean, but would they? They're
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I think
dogs.
I heard one time someone say that, but I'm like, really? I don't think female dogs
unless
do.
they're just like mimicking behavior they've seen.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think that was one reason I did want girl dogs, because I could have gotten a boy the second time. I was like, no, I'm gonna stick with girls. Girls are not humping around everything in sight. And so he talks about how when he works from home, he just sits at his island, so he doesn't really like sit at a desk or anything, which, hey, relatable. Most days I sit at my kitchen table, mainly because of the dogs, because they have more space to roam, do their thing. Otherwise, I would sit up here, right here, in this very spot.
You should turn on your camera one day and just let us watch you work.
Let y'all watch me work.
Yeah, live stream, like on the StreamYard here.
Some people, hey, TikTok reference, but there are people on TikTok who go live and they'll be like, I'm gonna be live from 9 p.m. to 3 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if you want to be productive, just turn on the live and do your own thing, and we're being productive together. It's like semi like accountability, and it's just a person. They're just doing their thing.
People will watch anything, apparently. Yeah,
because the goal is you're not watching, but you're not using your phone. But you're on live and you're kind of like being motivated because they're working, but whatever. And so she says, like, so Nicole says that, she's thinking past the 8 weeks. She's thinking, can't wait for them to get a house so they can get a yard for their 3 dogs. And so we do get to see Nicole introduce Charlie to Coda and Kobe. They are at a neutral space. They did it perfectly. Y'all have heard me talk about my complaints with last season with whatever Alexis and Justin tried to do.
Just throw their dogs into a cramped space and be like, have at it.
Yeah, go for it. Off the leash. Nicole and Chris knew what they were doing. I applaud them. That was chef's kiss. That was just the way to do it. You see, they got to sniff each other. They were all on leash. They kind of got each other's vibe. Charlie got to see that they were a little bit more energetic than he was. So he was like, all right, I'm a chill. Then they went into a dog park and they didn't play together, but they existed together, which is all they needed to do.
Charlie's like, these MFers don't got no home training. They are just crazy. I'm just gonna mind my own business, not associate with these ruffians. Like, he's like, I've been raised to be prim and proper. I don't know what y'all doing. Y'all are just crazy.
He's like, they're big. I didn't expect this. But yes, I loved it. They were all cool, calm, and collected. There was no aggression. Future Married at First Sight people, please take note of this is how you introduce your dog. They didn't go to her apartment. They didn't go to his apartment. Neutral space. I loved it.
You think somebody like on the production staff was like, hey, just so you know, I know that the season hasn't aired yet, but we had an incident last season. I'm just telling y'all. You can avoid a lot of heartache. Take your dogs to the park.
I doubt it, because they're
about to bring all the dogs to the apartment. Production was like, whoa.
I don't think Married at First Sight would have missed an opportunity to be like, it happened again. They don't want to
put dogs' lives at risk, Aysha.
No, obviously not. But look at Nicole and Chris. They genuinely care about their dogs. They were going to know what to do. They didn't need to be told, don't go to somebody else's territory. They're not careless. Huh?
You're giving them the benefit of the doubt.
No, I honestly think they knew what they were doing.
I think it'd be a lot more fun if production was like, you don't want to do that. Trust us.
That's putting a lot of faith in the production.
Spoiler alert for a season that has an air jet. Like, that does not go well.
Right. So they go to their new apartment, and Chris, he has his 2 dogs because his 2 dogs are going to be staying there for now. Charlie, Nicole's dog, is with her dad, so she does plan on she's with her dad at her apartment, so she plans on going to visit him every day. So she's very glad that he's in close proximity. So they've worked out that situation for now. Chris, I don't want to bring up a big topic, but both of our leases are ending at the same time. Like, after we finish this experiment, and I have to let my apartment know this week, you have to let your apartment know in 2 weeks. And I really don't want to be rushed after decision day to find a place. So if we really have forever together, then what's the rush in moving in together? My suggestion is we should both renew our leases for 9 months and have sleepovers.
So dumb. What are you doing, bro? Like, we were rooting for you.
We were
Chris,
rooting for you.
What are you thinking? I mean, I guess maybe he's being ultra like cautious, but like, it's just not a good thing to broach in this way
at all. The move is one of you extend your lease 9 months. That's where you go after the decision day.
Listen,
then
Chris,
you have plenty of time to decide where to live.
The move is like, so I think we should renew my lease, because just in case something happens, that means you got to go and I have a place to stay. Like, no. If Chris is thinking in this vein,
right?
At least I have some place to stay.
In what world does both of them paying rent for 9 months make sense?
And even if that is the case, why isn't it like, okay, we'll both pay our rents the way we've been paying it, but you will just stay at my house or I will just stay at your house, not sleepovers. Like, no, you move your stuff into my house or I move my stuff into your house, but for whatever reason, because I think this might not work, just in case, we both keep our leases or move to a month-to-month lease type of thing. I assume that's an option for most apartment complexes.
It is, yeah. I think it's an awful decision. I think it's very pessimistic of him to propose this. And I'm glad she responded and was like, but won't that be hard? Like, we're going to go from living together to not living together. And like, I just don't think that, that would be great for us. And he's like, but let's say we make it through this and then we run into problems a couple months after, then what?
So you're anticipating problems. Like, that's
literally, you can't be afraid of problems. If y'all are y'all make the decision to stay together and you run into problems a couple months after, what do? You work through it, Chris. You don't just say, "Oh, we had our first big argument. It's over."
We've heard this a lot recently. Like, what if I become homeless? Like, what if we break up and I'm homeless? I have nowhere to go. Like, bro, like, you could go literally anywhere. You go to a hotel. Look at Mac. Mac, find a friend's basement. I'm sure Mac will let you sleep on the floor. Like, dude, come on. Like, this was just such a boneheaded thing for him to do.
Literally. And the fact that we find out, like during their conversation with Pastor Cal, we find out that she agrees to this because she just doesn't want to rock the boat. And I'm like, no, you had the right idea at first, Nicole. That is not the move. It's only setting yourself up for, we're giving ourselves an out. We're giving ourselves a 9-day grace period. We could say yes to decision day, but we're still giving ourselves 9 months to, who knows what might happen.
And we've really seen this trend like in the last few years on these type of shows. Like if for those that watch Love is Blind, that couple Matt and
Colleen,
after a year still are not living together after being married. And like, it's not a good idea. It's not, you're not connected as much as you could be. you're just you're dating. Like that's what it turns into. You go from married couple to dating. So it's just, I don't know. It feels like a huge step back, and I don't know why Chris would do this to himself and sabotage a relationship like this.
Yeah, it's right. It's off. My mic got connected for a second. I don't know what was happening. But yeah, I don't know why he would do this either. It's an awful plan. I wish Pastor Cal would have talked him out of it. But let's get into that. So Pastor Cal, and another point was that Nicole said she's not, like, in her confessional, she said she's not okay living separately because it will just be like they're dating again, which is valid, absolutely. So Pastor Cal comes, he's like, y'all look so good together. She says it's been smooth sailing so far. He says it's been way better than he expected. Pastor Cal's like, all right, we know Nicole has a big personality. So how have you been handling that? Chris is like, well, I haven't seen her like be too hot-tempered yet. She's like, yes, you have. Then we get a flashback to the camera in the apartment, and she's mad about the wedding picture. And she's like, whoever did this wedding picture sucks. Whoever did this sucks. And she holds up the picture to the camera, and she's like, this sucks.
That's it? Like, that's your big hot-tempered? I feel like this is more Lindy from last season. Like, you don't want to see me at a 10. You don't want to see me go off. But, like, if that's it, I'm not too worried about it. Like, I think I'm okay. She had to literally remind him, like, oh, yeah, you have seen me like that. And he's like, oh, was that you hot-tempered? I think we're good.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, that was hilarious because I was like, what are you talking about? That was nothing. I was waiting for the rest of the clip.
Yeah. I'm waiting for her to like knock stuff over, throw stuff, like
just she was gonna take it and like crack it over her knee.
Like, I hate you. I hate this photographer. I hate this whole show. Just start kicking stuff over. Like, no, there's like, this is a bad picture.
Yeah.
Why would you do this?
Exactly.
This is the picture we like.
Yes. So Chris talks about how he was walked over in past relationship, and he's learned because of those things how to have a backbone now. And they do share with Pastor Kyle about this agreement to have both of their leases for 9 months. Chris is like, I just don't want to be homeless if it doesn't work out.
I don't want to be on the street, Pastor Cal, because she kicks me out. I got nowhere to go. I'll be sleeping in my car. I'll be sleeping on the streets. Like, what?
No. Pastor Cal says, y'all need to start acting like you're going to be married forever. Okay. We also find out that she has started asking him every day, if decision day was today, what would you say? And it's always been yes so far.
Why are y'all trying to ruin this? Stop it. Really Stop sabotaging yourselves. This is what this is. This is self-sabotage at its finest from both of y'all. Like,
yep.
Whew.
It literally, why would you do this? Because Pastor Cal brings up a great point. I think this is the greatest point he brought up with all 5 couples.
Yeah.
He said, right now, things are great. So it's rainbows and sunshines, basically. But when you have an argument and you are in a valley and you ask that question and then it's not the yes, then that's going to affect y'all. Because then you're going to think, oh, what are we doing wrong?
That's like listening to our podcast in real time and hearing us talk about your relationship and give you the 1 to 5s. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, Jason and Aysha gave us a 2 this week. What are we doing?
Yeah, exactly.
What's wrong?
If anything, it's like definitely okay to check in. Maybe not every day.
Not in this way though. Like, not constantly like, if decision day was today, if it's every day, at some point I'm just going to get annoyed at that fact and be like, you know what? I'm going to say no because you keep asking me the same question every day.
Right. Don't ask about decision day. Maybe at this point, a weekly check-in. How are you feeling? Is there anything that I could be doing differently? Yeah. Anything that you're really enjoying that's been going on between us that we should do maybe more of? Not, is it yes or no?
Yeah. Is it a yes or a no today?
Yeah.
2 hours later, still a yes. And it seems like, is this the only thing she's asking? Because we've seen her ask, like, "Do you love me yet?" Is that an everyday thing too? Like,
Right. She's
do you
like,
love
every
me
day I
now?
ask 5 questions.
Do you love me? Do you love my dog?
Right.
Where are we gonna live after the 8 weeks?
She did she was on some she commented, was it on Facebook or she commented somewhere basically saying she did stop asking Chris.
Get off the internet, Nicole. Get off the
Right?
internet. That never ends well.
Right.
Do not go looking for it because you'll find it.
Next week we're gonna have a review that says, enjoyed the podcast except for the Nicole and Chris piece. You were too hard on Nicole.
From an anonymous Nicole fan who is definitely not Nicole.
Right. He's gonna say her username is gonna be Charlie's mom.
Yeah.
No idea who it is.
Mrs. Chris.
Right. Oh, so they did then reveal that they have been intimate as of this week.
Dun,
So,
dun, dun, dun.
our first couple to admit
We
that
should
they've
have
been
like
intimate.
we should have like confetti poppers. Like whenever it happens, we just pop it.
Yay!
It's like announcing a new pope. Like we see white smoke come out of the chimneys. Like someone has had sex.
Right.
They've done it. Pascal's like, oh,
there we go.
There we go. There you go. Lighter in the air for the sex. Get all the mustiness out of the room. Pastor, did you see Pascal's face? He's like, oh,
he lit up.
Did you really? Tell me all about it.
For those that didn't watch, he didn't say that.
Be specific. Talk slow, please.
Oh my God. They did say that it brought them closer. And Nicole,
we did not hear though if either one enjoyed like how good it was. That's usually what we get. Like, was it good? Was it not good?
They didn't say. They just said that it happened.
Yeah.
And she joked about like, oh, we're waiting for y'all to get out of here so we can do it again. And she said it was like a movie. It was like as if they were in a movie. They both were just like on the same page, and they're like, it happened.
It happened.
It happened.
That's the best you can say.
Right. We got our first couple that has admitted at least that they have been intimate and they have consummated their marriage. So 1 through 5, what are you thinking?
I mean, listen, although they are apparently trying to sabotage themselves, I'm still at a 5 right now.
Yeah, I'm still at a 5 too. And I also think that even if they do follow through with this 9-month thing with both their places, I could still see them working it out. I just think it's inconvenient.
Pastor Cal was like, I see y'all within 2 weeks figuring where you're going to live and just living there. Like he even said that to them. Like, yeah, because they are crazy about each other. So if they keep going down this trajectory, I would just see like, yeah, we just kind of use her place as storage and she just stays in my place. Like,
yeah, I'm hoping like maybe tomorrow Chris realizes, because he has this week to decide. So hoping that, but I think even if they do follow through with it, they'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's practical to keep one of their apartments and just have them move into one of those apartments because, they don't want to rush things trying to find a place to live like right as the experiment ends. I get that part, but keeping both of them is not a smart idea.
Ludicrous.
Yeah, because then even if you say like, okay, we're both gonna live in one place, but I'll keep my place, you still have an out when you argue. All right, I'm just gonna go to my place. Like that. That's still not good. Like, get rid of that place. Get rid of the other place. Just be in one spot.
Yeah, they'll just be like, the vibes aren't right. I gotta go.
Yeah.
So last but not least,
the trash heap, the bottom of the barrel for this season so far. Mac and Dom.
Prepare yourselves. I think we might be at this one for like an hour. Just kidding.
Yeah, we got a lot to say. So we went to Mac's friend, family friend's house last episode. This episode, we're going to Dom's house. They enter the house. She has a bunch of stuff in boxes. She talks about waiting for a storage unit for some reason. I don't know why we need
got
to
a
know
waiting list. I mean, here in Texas, it's like every mile there's a storage unit. So it's like one's full, go to the other.
Same here. She says, go ahead, look around if you want, pick some stuff out. He's like, nah, I'm good. Passive aggressive city over here with Mac. He's like, you didn't look through my stuff, so I'm not gonna look through yours. You didn't have any stuff to look through.
He literally, before walking in, did like the selfie camera video talking about, I'm the big loser here living in a basement with my family and friends, just like pity party. And I will say, jokey Matt. Matt. Mac.
Barrel of laughs over here, Mac.
Right. He looked like there was nothing behind his eyes.
Oh yeah.
He looked like the shell of a person.
So uninterested. So they're walking around in a confessional. Dom says, the energy and look on his face really just tells me he doesn't want to be here. So I think we should just go ahead and pack up the stuff and leave. She's like, or maybe I just won't pack at all. I don't know. She says, she asks him, so do you see yourself maybe living here? And he's like, I don't know. We'll see. Thanks, Mac. Thanks for the riveting. Thanks for the riveting conversation there, Mac. So they're in the car on the way, I assume, to the new apartment. She asks him, so how you feeling? I can kind of tell your energy is off a little bit. He says, you keep telling me that there's stuff you don't like about me. And, I'm not getting everything I want either. So I don't know. You're complaining. I don't have what I want. She says, what are you talking about? And he's talking about, well, my dogs mean so much to me. I said, wait. As I watched him, I said, huh?
Episode 8.
I said, you what? You have dogs? Since when? Since when? Where have these dogs been? And he talks about how, your perspective is you don't really seem to like dogs. As we get a flashback to the honeymoon of her talking about how, dogs should be a benefit. And I don't want to get dog hair all over the place. And I don't want it to be a mess. And then
her saying that made me think like that I was going to post her saying that and then post like some version of like this. My dog's as comfy as ever on my couch.
All over the couch.
Running the house.
Pepper Simmons run your house. As Dom said, she doesn't want the dogs to run her life. Those dogs run Asia's life. So I'm surprised you're not anti-Dom at this point.
Oh, no, I am. So let me explain. I understand.
Get comfy, everyone.
I'm not anti-Dom. Let me not say that. I do not agree with her on this dog point because just because there are people that are like me, Chris and Nicole, that does not mean that everyone who owns a dog is like me, Chris and Nicole. I understand that there are people, I have friends, like my brother's boyfriend, his family has the dogs in Los Angeles. He does not have them here in Texas, but he loves those dogs to death.
But he claims them as his own?
Yeah, like he's like, they're my dogs because they are his family's dogs, right? And so like, that doesn't mean, I've never seen those dogs in Texas. I'm not going to ask about them.
But what is that situation though? What is that like? Did he get the dog himself and his family is watching it?
That's his family's dog. He grew up with the dogs.
I don't know if yeah. But I think in Mac's case, Mac is these are his dogs that he bought, but he's just been storing them like probably in Michigan.
Said that.
I mean, I guess, but like I don't know if he is like itching to bring the dogs that he's had since a kid to Nashville, as he talks about he wants to do now. I think if it was a family dog, it would stay probably with like his mom.
Right. That's where they are in Michigan.
Yeah, but he's talking about bringing them to Nashville.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But my thing is, she's thinking, you should, like, they're not with you, so you like, where's the connection? Why should I care if you don't care? But it's not that he doesn't care. He has no means to take care of dogs in his with his living situation.
Listen, lady, I wish we could just be open. Okay, I wish you could be like, Mac is like, listen, I came here for the friggin' show.
Yeah, literally.
I did not feel like getting an apartment and having to move out of said apartment 5 months later. So I'm staying with a family friend. It's not a big deal. I have money enough to buy an apartment. I just did not feel like buying an apartment for 5 months before this show starts. So I'm staying with a friend. It's not that big of a deal. But he won't say that. Literally. They can't say that because they cannot break that fourth wall and admit that, you know, that is the situation.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, my dogs are with my mom because the friggin' Donnellys won't let me bring my dogs in their basement.
He has no means to have like to take care of his dogs, right?
Yes, yeah.
But so it's like if this were their only issue, I would be totally pro Dom or pro Mac. Like, hey, yeah, Dom should have been asking about your dogs, or she should have taken an interest in your dogs because they're yours. And
the messed up part here, which I didn't go through the whole thing. She knows he has dogs.
Yeah.
But she didn't ask a single thing about the dogs. She didn't ask the dogs' names. She didn't ask a dang thing about the names. So that is like, I am like, as I'm doing the scales of whose team I'm on. It's like, ooh, there's a shot against Dom. She didn't even ask anything about his freaking dogs. So that's a shot against Dom. And it just the scales keep going up and down with Dom and Mac as the episode goes on at different moments of the show.
Literally, because even in this one conversation, because I'm like, yeah, I could see how that was a part of them, that was a part of their demise, right? Of that, you know, you had all the adventurous stuff. And then on his end, he feels like you don't even care about my life back home.
And then she shoots back like, well, you must not.
Yeah.
But she shoots at him like, well, you must not care about your dogs either because you've been in Nashville for 5 months and haven't even seen them. And I feel like that's a hit, like to him, like a hit straight to his heart. Like, oh, you're saying I don't care about my dogs? Like, I love my freaking dogs. So you imagine if someone said that to Asia, they'd be dead.
Yeah. Oh,
they'd be no longer living.
Done for. Yeah. You said what?
You what? She starts taking her earrings out like you said, what?
You said I don't care about who?
Say it again. Say it again. Go ahead.
I dare you. I dare you.
Say it again.
But it's like you're bringing Mac. The moment to bring this up was when y'all were having that little heart to heart at the honeymoon. Not right now when y'all have already had so many miscommunication, so many just not on the same page, not seeing each other eye to eye, not listening to each other. And now you're bringing up that you've been holding on to the fact that she hasn't brought up your dogs because he's like at his wit's end. And he's like, matter of fact, you never asked about
another thing.
She didn't care to ask about him in the honeymoon. What makes you think she's going to care now? It's only going to hurt more because she's like, are you serious? So it's just like, I get his point at the time when they're getting to know each other at the honeymoon, like that, like initial, like, dang, that kind of hurt. You didn't ask. That's a last breakfast type of conversation at honeymoon. Like,
but I feel like
I have this issue.
But I see where he's coming from in the moment because the honeymoon's already been so rocky that he doesn't want to, you know, tip the boat over even more by bringing this up now. But now it's all boiling over, and now it's just like, oh yeah, and this, and this, and this. Like now it's all coming out, in, you know, also an unhealthy way,
right? And it's just like, and of course she's not gonna care. She already didn't care.
She's already annoyed at you.
Care even less because she's like, oh, you're bringing up this petty thing. He's like, well, it's not petty to me.
Yeah,
and so it's just like.
Yeah, he talks about, you know, I feel like you feel that I'm kind of like just this chump that lives in a basement. I got nothing going on. He says, listen, I did pretty well in cannabis. I got plenty of money. And he's like, I'm not feeling good about where we are right now. You know, and he brings up the dogs, like, you know, you never even ask her name. She's like, we got so much more to worry about than friggin' dogs. Like we got a lot more to worry about. And it's like, oh.
And that's where I would, because I because it's so hard, because this is actually, that it alone is an actual issue. But they have their issues are endless. So it's so hard to even focus on that. But I've been there where like I was like getting to know this guy, and he's like, oh, you and that dog. It was when I just had Pepper. And he's like, there you go, talk about that dog again. I was like, what do you mean? There I go talking about my companion.
What you say?
What did you just say?
Excuse me?
Pulls hair back.
What'd you say? You want to die today? Is that what you said?
He's like, I was like, what do you, and I, by pressing him on it, he's like, what does it even matter? Are we living together? Why do I need to care about the dog?
Ooh.
It's like, okay, yeah, we were done. We were done by then. I was like, oh, I've seen what I've needed to see. And I'm done.
Get out.
So that definitely was not a situation that lasted. It didn't even make it to really talking. It was still just like getting to know each other's stage. So that's why I say, like, even how she feels about the dog, if they were perfect, that would be something that they would need to work through, because they clearly have very different opinions. And if he ultimately wants the dogs living with him, like that would be something.
I don't know, man. And it's funny because, like, if I'm someone and someone starts talking about their dog, like, as we are new into being like knowing each other, I would be like, oh, cool. What are your dog's names? Like, what do you have a picture? What do they like, or anything? And she's just like, I don't care.
Okay.
Like, whatever. Just skip that. I'm sure he's been holding on to that. Like, damn, she didn't even ask anything about the dogs. Like,
right. It's like, it's as if I don't care what it is. I'm like, yes, my dogs are very important to me. But even if someone was like, I'm meeting someone, especially if it's going to be if it's a spouse, okay,
a potential suitor,
right? Someone that I would fancy.
Yeah, someone you fancy.
If I'm meeting someone in our like first getting to know you conversations, they were like, I have 2 plants that I love. I water them all the time, blah, blah, blah. That's important enough for you to bring up. You care about that. I'm going to ask about your plants. So it's just a matter of like people. What?
Plants.
It's getting to know someone.
Do I have to ask the plants' names though? How much of the plants can we actually get? Like, how much conversation is there about plants?
Oh, you would be surprised. There are people who could go on and on about plants.
Yeah, I only live with a plant serial killer, so I don't know anything about that.
I have friends who are crazy about plants. But yeah, like you just, even though something may not be important to you, if it's important to somebody else, especially a partner, then you would think that it's something you should get to know.
Exactly. You dig into it a little bit.
Yeah.
So they're in the apartment now. He says, they're unpacking their stuff, and we get the scene that we've all been seeing where he comes out, he's like, so are those bags coming in here? Like her bag. She says, you know what? I'm just not feeling it right now. She says, if we're gonna have petty arguments, I'm not really for that. And this is where he goes, like, well, I feel like my dogs aren't petty. I don't know what you're talking about. She says, she doesn't want things to spiral. And the energy right now is, okay. She doesn't hate him, and she doesn't want it to get worse. And he counters. He's like, well, I've been spiraling since the honeymoon, and you just keep finding things not to like about me. Meanwhile, I've been compromising, doing things like horseback riding, sailboats, my dog's not being here. And, I keep on doing things wrong in your eyes. She says, well, it feels like what you're saying is I expected things to be perfect. He says, yeah, well, that is kind of how it felt on the honeymoon. She says, well, I did expect someone to want to do things and for me not to have to push them to do things. And it's mentally exhausting for her to do that. I said, okay, Dom's getting a point there. I understand that. It can be.
Yeah, I'm with Dom the rest of this way.
Okay.
It was only
the scales are tipped all the way to Dom's side for Aysha right now.
Yeah, and I do. I mean, this is supplemental to this story. The after party she was very harsh on Dom or on Mac.
I'm
And
not.
she was so negative with like every single thing they brought up. She brought up, well, Mac said X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah,
She was really trying to paint the picture that it was all Mac in the wrong. However, we did see a different side of Mac when he came to visit her apartment. And so I'm like, I'm sure it wasn't as bad as she portrayed it to be on After Party, but I do believe that it was that to an extent.
Yeah, for every question Dom got to ask, she's like, well, what you didn't see
Yeah.
was right before this, Mac had a rant of 10 minutes about what he didn't like and what he was going to say, and then he didn't do it. Like, she used the word rant like 15 times throughout this after party, saying that what we didn't see. And like, I'm not sure how much of a grain of salt to take with what she's saying, because she's ultimately trying to defend herself in this moment. So I don't know how serious I'm taking what she's saying. But I can take it a little seriously, because we kind of got it confirmed in a way that Mac freaked out about the airline tickets. So I mean, we have heard things that would lead us to believe this is possible. So it's tough to really read at the moment, but I can see it happening. So maybe she's right about part of it. She's not just, I don't know, maybe she's overblowing it. We don't know.
It's like the Mac that we see on camera is not the Mac he is 100% of the time.
Well, even the Mac I'm seeing on camera, I'm not like
before this point.
Even then, I'm not like
I know.
I don't see why, if our theory that we've been holding that he was in California and he got like told, okay, if you come to Nashville, we'll cast you on Nashville. Why? What was the big hurry to cast Mac for? Like, he's giving us nothing except for weirdness. And I don't understand what the big deal was for casting him. But anyway.
So I don't fully believe everything that it was to that extreme as she said it on After Party, but I do think there was some truth to that. Like he isn't showing that rawness of how he feels about things on camera.
Yeah. In a confessional, she says, she's overwhelmed with everything that's been going on, with everything combining is really kind of stressing her out. And she's decided she's not going to move in. She's going to go home and take a bath. I love the producer like coming in. So you're just going to take all this stuff back down to the car?
Like, yeah.
It's as if the producer's like, oh, so you're going to leave, but you're surely not going to like waste all your energy taking the stuff. You might as well stay. I'm like, that's just trying to convince her to stay. She's like, no, I'm going to take everything down to the car and I'm going to leave.
I'm sorry, with his stank attitude, I would want to leave too. Like, this isn't an environment that's conducive for trying to resolve anything. And I do understand, like, he feels judged, but she said he was already talking about that on the honeymoon, that he felt like he was already being painted as the guy who lives in his basement, which, of course, you don't think there was a confessional where they're like, okay, how do you think Dom's going to feel about you living in your basement? I'm sure he's had to talk about it leading up to it. And so he's starting to see what the edit's going to be. And he's feeling a type of way. So she was like, he was already feeling down on himself before she had the reaction to actually seeing it. And so I'm like, I don't blame her for not wanting to stay there.
Yeah. I think they're both at fault. Like, I think at the end of the day, they both have fault in this. With the way her attitude has been, both of their attitudes have not been conducive to getting along in any type of way. Whereas he is passive aggressive, she is just kind of aggressive, basically telling him he sucks at every turn.
Yeah, I think maybe it's me being deceived by that. At least she's being honest. We can't even get that from him.
Yeah, at least she's just telling him he's a bum at every moment. Like, that can't feel great. But yeah, Dom does come. We see that's the end of this scene where she says she's not going to move in. The next scene we see with them is him getting ready for the Pastor Cal visit. Dom comes into the apartment, and we find out they haven't talked for 3 days since she decided that she wasn't going to move in. Now, here's my problem. when we have couples that say, okay, I'm not moving in, haven't talked to you for 3 days, that is when a expert should rush in, call an emergency Zoom meeting, and talk about what's going on. Call an emergency Zoom, call an emergency in-person meeting, whatever you have to do. That's where we should have expert intervention. We should not have 3 days going by where these people have not talked to each other. Like, that's a big mistake for the show.
Absolutely. Because that's lost time. Because if you do actually want to salvage this couple, you're losing out on precious time. They've gone 3 days without talking to each other. They just went through all this stuff. You're giving them more time to just be like, I'm done. I'm really done. No, I like this guy is in my past. I'm as done as I could be.
I feel great not having seen him for 3 days. I don't know why I would discontinue not seeing him. If it disturbs my peace, I've been having a great time these last 3 days.
Right.
And then Dom gets into like, she's in her confessional right now. She's getting to this mode where I'm just like, okay, I'm like rolling my eyes a little bit. She's like, I only like positive vibes, and right now he's giving me very negative energy, and I don't want to give that attention. I don't like the negative attitude and the lack of adventurousness. If I have to hear about lack of adventurousness again, I'm going to scream. And she says she doesn't need it in her life.
When she said positive vibes only, I had a light bulb go off, and I was like, Dom is the first person from Gen Z that we have had on Married at First Sight.
Because she's an old soul, Aysha, but she's an old soul. You don't understand.
That girl is Gen Z at heart. Yeah, and I was like, that right there is Gen Z all the way.
And that really ticks my annoyance, like switch in my head, where she's always talking about, I really only like positive vibes, and I'm really getting a negative energy. I'm like, okay, let's stop. And then she continues with me not liking her by her attitude for this whole Pastor Cal visit.
Well, so here's the thing. I will say before they go to, well, yeah, even through her apartment, up until they go to the shared apartment earlier, she was trying to fake the funk. Like, yes, she was annoyed, but she was at least like, all right, we're filming. So you excited
let's put on the filming face. Like, hey, come search through my apartment. He's like, no. Like, exactly. he's not going through with the bit. She's like, exactly. Come on. Don't you want to look through my drawers? Don't you want to look at my stuff? He's like, no, I don't. I'm good. Thank you.
And I know it's kind of like counter to how I felt about Gina, because I was like, Gina, just be honest. But I feel like,
be honest, but don't be a dick while you're being honest.
I don't know. I feel like, well, for one, I think they stand no chance. But it's just like, yes, they both are the reason they are in this situation. They are not compatible. They are not a good match. That is it, right? But I think even knowing that, they're like, well, I think she was in the position of, she was thinking, well, let's go through the motions. She was even willing to move in with him. Whereas he was like, no, I've been spiraling since the honeymoon.
Well, he was going through the motions too. Like, he was ready to move into that one bedroom. Like, you bring your bags in here or what? And then she decided she wasn't going to go through the motions anymore and not move into the apartment.
Because she's like, don't be trying to go through the motions if you're just going to be super negative.
You're just going to be you're just going to be pouty. You're just going to be pouty over there. Like,
right.
That's the energy I want. And so, and I feel like this Pastor Cal meeting really kind of showed her age for me, where although she's an old soul, she was kind of,
let's kill that. She's not.
Yeah. She was kind of being bratty here in this meeting. And because Cal enters and she's like, you have a lot of explaining to do. I'm like, oh, okay, rude. And Cal says, oh, no, you actually do. You have the explaining. And they kind of sit down. It's a little awkward, at first. And Cal says, I'm looking at you and you seem like really poised for battle. He's like, what's going on? And she says, well, we have both had concerns. He feels like he didn't get the things he asked for, and I didn't feel like I got the things I asked for, as if this was a menu at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, waiter, I got the passive aggressiveness. I didn't order that.
Right. I asked for a little sprinkle of adventure, but yeah, I don't see it on the plate.
You know what? I asked for positive vibes only. I seem to have gotten some negative vibes in here. Can I send this back? Or what?
Don't just pick it off. Remake it.
Yes, I need it remade. I need it reheated, remade, everything. If this is to come back with some adventureness in it, I am not paying this bill. So Cal says, so what do you feel like you didn't get? She says, well, on my list, I had someone that was outgoing, positive, optimistic, adventurous. Cal said, he is those things. And she says, no, he wasn't. I had to bring him along on the honeymoon at all times. So Cal says, so what's up, Mac? You don't like taking risks? He says, I do. But when it comes to horseback riding, sailboats, and all that kind of stuff, I may be a once a month kind of guy. And you know,
I was like, Mac, not once a month.
Once a month. You want to be adventurous as much as Chris washes his sheets. And he said he did want somebody, you know, extroverted, but he didn't want somebody as adventurous as Dom. He says, I said extroverted, not adventurous. That's not what I asked for. Cal said, oh, well, you didn't give us that measurement. Like Cal bringing like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't give you we gave you too much extroverted, is what you're saying. Like,
right.
We went past your scale of extroverted. We ventured into adventurous. Like, we messed it up for you, sir. Let me fix that for you. So Mac talks more about, you know, yeah, we have like different attitudes when it comes to the dog. And then Dom says, Pastor Cal, you knew that the dogs in the bed were a deal breaker for me. That's your deal breaker? Why are you doing this? So this is your deal breaker. That seems like a dumb deal breaker to me.
Well, and then I can see how it's a deal breaker for someone. So she thinks like by saying that she would be matched with someone who does not have a dog.
Yeah.
Or sees dogs as a benefit, like she does.
I see dogs as a benefit. I don't want dogs to run my life. As Cinnamon has gotten into Aysha's lap, interrupting our podcast because Cinnamon runs Aysha's life.
What are you saying? Oh, okay.
She's not. she don't even say anything because she knows I'm right. So Cal says, well, Mac, does the dog have to sleep in the bed with you? He's like, no, I don't, not really. And so it's like, did we not discuss this?
So moving on.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh. And then this is where Cal's like, well, I want you guys to really see that this stuff that you're fighting over is pretty absurd. And this is the stuff that can be compromised on. And, you know, did you want a marriage or did you just want a marriage on your terms? Dom says, well, I wanted a marriage, but I didn't think I was going to get somebody that was totally opposite from me. And Cal says, well, you're not opposites. And she says, we are. He says, then you lied. Like, what? It's like, huh?
Because she was like, oh, we're in agreement, like her and Mac, that they are opposites. Yeah. And so Cal, he's like, well, you lied. So it's like,
it's not our problem. Yeah,
you can't just go off of it. That's why this process needs to be way more than just what people tell you. And I don't know what the formula is.
What's the solution?
There's got to be something.
Are we going to hook them up to lie detector tests? Like,
no, I will stand behind it. I just don't think matching without. I mean, even if you think on like the show, because they do it really well on Indian matchmaking. What is it? Indian matchmaker on Netflix. So she is matching people. And she'll give someone the profile, like, hey, here's the guy. This is the picture, and these are all the criteria. This is 3 profiles. Tell me who you want to pursue something with, and that's the person you are committing to pursue something with. And so it's still giving the people the power to make the decision. So in this format, if you want to still be married at first sight, I don't know if it's dipping too much in Love is Blind territory, but have the person you want. Like, I want Jasmine to be the person who is getting married. Let me give her 5 potential suitors. Like maybe it's qualities about them. Maybe it's getting to like, okay, you don't want to do Love is Blind. Maybe don't have them talk to each other, but have her choose of the 5 in whatever format you inform her about them. Then it's like, this is the person you thought would be best suited for you. And we gave you the people that would, the 5 guys who could be best suited for you, because we're human. Like people are not going to get past the fact that they, especially in today's world, that they could choose something else.
You want them to have take one person and find that, you know, square peg that fits that square hole. Where it feels like we're just trying to find, like, we're like, these shapes are close enough, right? Like,
right.
let's jam it in here.
Aren't you, just move over to the side and it'll go through.
Now I'm going to take a note from Asia, and I'm going to talk about like some TikTok thing that I saw. It was more like a Facebook thing on the Facebook version of TikTok, where it was like this lady is like doing one of those things where you're putting the shapes in the holes, and she keeps putting all the shapes in one hole. It's like, no, that's not the right hole. Or somebody reacting to that, I think, or somebody's putting all these different shapes in this one hole because it fits there, but it's not the one that goes to it. And she's like, no, what are you doing? That's not where it goes, but it fits in there. That's what this is doing. It's like, it kind of fits. Like that's what we're doing, right? But you want them to be like, yeah, I want to focus on a person and find the match for this person, not just be like, this kind of works, right?
These are two great people. Why wouldn't they work out? I'm sorry. I know a lot of great people. That doesn't mean that I want to marry them.
Tomato, potato, right? That's the saying. Like, no, it's tomato, tomato.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, where were we? We have gone on another tangent.
You were talking about, you know, Dom's not a dog person. That's absurd. He said, well, you lied.
Yeah, this is where Cal gets into his his shtick about why they were matched. Cal says, "You both said you wanted independence in the relationship. You didn't want a needy spouse, and Dom, you said you wanted someone there for you to be. You wanted a protector. You wanted someone honest, faithful, more mature, a stable person that you can build a long-term life with." I'm not even convinced that he said this in the moment. I'm just convinced they have played his his little interstitial. Like, I'm not even convinced he said this in the moment. And he says, Mac, you asked for someone to pull you out of your shell and a go-getter like you who can grow with you and build a family and enjoy life together. And we gave you what you asked for and what you needed, and you haven't even given it a chance. Dom agrees that she wanted someone established and, you know, in place, but she says for someone his age.
She said, given his age,
I expected him to have a house. But he jumped into marriage, but didn't even want to jump into a house. And this is where Cal says, so what? He doesn't have his own house. People make decisions.
This is where I was like, no, it's not a so what. Like, that's what matters to her. It's not what Pastor Cal thinks is silly and frivolous. Like, that has become a turnoff for her. It's like, it's not, oh, I need to put on my Pastor Cal hat and, okay, let me think about, Pastor Cal knows the situation. You know, like maybe Mac has not been honest with her about this, or else she would be more understanding.
Well, Cal does say, you know, people make decisions in their lives, whether we agree with them or not. They have the right to make those decisions, and marriage is about building a different life together. This is where I'm like, so I feel like she is being very judgy of like, you live in a basement, you must not have your stuff together. Have we not had the conversation of like how he has his finances together, if he has his finances together, what his situation is like? I feel like they have not had that conversation.
We've seen this before. Which couple?
Steve and Noy?
Yeah.
But that felt more like that was a weird runaround of like Steve wasn't being honest or Steve wasn't being totally forthright. They weren't having that conversation. It feels like they haven't even broached that conversation, and she just has jumped to this conclusion that he is a bum that has nothing going on, which I actually think it's a different thing. I think he is saying like, yeah, I didn't want to jump into an apartment because I would just have to get rid of it 5 months later and break a lease, or I could just stay with his family in their basement for a minute before I go on this show where I'm going to have to get a different house anyway after the process. I feel like that conversation is not happening. She's just like, he's a bum that lives in a basement. Like, I feel like he does have the means to get his own house.
I think it comes down to the fact that she's having to make assumptions because he's already having this pity party. So he's giving her the like, well, yeah, I guess I suck because I live in a basement. Rather than, listen, I live in a basement because like, and I know he tried to give his explanation in the midst of them going back and forth, but that's like, she's not going to hear him.
Right.
They don't know how to communicate to each other. And in the moments that she could listen, he's already down and out and it's just like, okay, I give up.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know.
He says he's felt judged by all the basement stuff. And, you know, if the shoes were reversed and she took him to a tent on the corner and said that's where she lived, he said he wouldn't feel any less attractive. Which is a lie. But she said, well, you know, for me, it's just a turn off. She then says it would have been better if you had like 4 roommates. And both him and Cal were like, how would that be better? Like, what are you talking about? And she said, well, that would mean you had your own space. And then he blurts over, he's like, I have 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. But you have it in someone. How do you have 2 bedrooms? You are renting a bedroom in someone else's house.
Yeah, maybe they let him have the guest bedroom when he wants. It's like an office or something.
I mean, Mac, that wasn't a great comeback.
It wasn't.
And, you know, she does the thing where like, I am talking. I didn't talk over you. Can you let me talk?
She said, are you going to let me talk, bro? I said,
bro.
Oh, she's done. She just called him bro.
Bro.
They're done.
A 25-year-old if I've ever seen one. So Cal cuts to it. He's like, so what now? She says, I'm over it. This old soul. I'm over it. I'm so
Honestly,
over it.
I'm kind of over it. Like, what's his sign? I'm over it. That we're not compatible.
And Cal, you know, the boomer, he is like, what does over it mean? Like, are you over this conversation? Are you over this marriage? What? And that's where we get the patented Married at First Sight cliffhanger. We'll have to find out what Dom says next week, even though we've seen several times Dom taking a box out of the apartment kind of crying. So I'm going to let you guys guess what the answer is going to be.
Yeah, I was so annoyed that right before this segment with Pastor Cal, they show her walking with the box, crying, giving him frustrated. Cut to the actual show. They're in those exact clothes. I'm like, at least before, I didn't know when that happened. Now you literally just showed me, and then you don't show me on the show. So it's like, okay, we have to see her walking out crying next week.
I do wonder where the crying is coming from, because it doesn't seem like she's in a real cryy mood. It just seems like she's like in an angry mood. I don't know.
Yeah, she could be just frustrated, and maybe there is more to the conversation because we do see in the previews them together with all of the couples, and I don't know if it's kind of like how Morgan and Ben did it, where they came back together to say like, oh, we've ended it.
Yeah, because I mean, you have Nicole being like, I think you're really going to regret this.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I think probably talking to Dom, or you know.
Yeah, she's not talking to Shaq.
Yeah, so I think maybe they have decided to end it, and they're, like you said, telling everyone in this moment. Because I mean, if I'm thinking like, I feel like I've seen like we've run out of Dom and Mac. Like,
yeah, we've seen no clips. More. Yeah, we've seen it all at this point. The last thing is Dom kissing Clint.
Yes, which is, you know, we've theorized the very end of the show, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I assume I don't have to ask, but what are the ratings going to be for Dom and Mac?
I'm really back and forth with a 1 and a 2. No, I'm kidding. Solid 1.
Yeah, solid 1. If we had zeros, I'd give it, but it's a 1.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so unfortunate because, I mean, on After Party, she did say like the first half of the honeymoon, there were some light cuddles. I mean, they at least were friendly the first half of the honeymoon. But it's just like, oh, did it crash and burn? So I don't know. I hope that at least they can be amicable. They don't have to hate each other, because who wants to hate anybody?
Well, that's a great life lesson. But boy, I tell you, we got some quitters this season. Like, I really hope for upcoming seasons they really try to weed out the quitters, because there's nothing I can stand more than quitters on this show. I'm like TJ on The Challenge. I can't stand quitters.
Okay, TJ. Yeah, I think that they need to. One thing they can do is build into the contract that you have to move in or your marriage is over. There are 2 bedrooms for a reason.
I think that's hard to enforce, though. I think it's hard to enforce, like forcing someone to live where they don't feel comfortable. I think that is hard to enforce. I think, yeah, I just think that would be hard to really put into a legal contract.
I don't know. I don't know. It's not against their will. I mean, it's a part of the experiment. It's just like you're on Big Brother. You're forced to live at the Big Brother house even when you get uncomfortable. You can't leave.
You can, and people have.
Yeah, and you're done. That's what I'm saying. If you don't want to live in the apartment, you're done with your marriage.
Okay, hey, that's cool. Whatever.
I don't know. I just feel like there's a way to enforce it because it's getting too optional.
Yeah, it's getting to be an easy cop out.
Absolutely. Because I'm like, at this point, the only people that seem to want to see it through, at least, is Nicole and Chris and Shaq and Kirsten.
I think
we got Eris in the air.
I think Jasmine and Eris are committed to making to sticking it out. I think, but you're saying he's only doing it for the camera.
I gotta wait to see next week. See what he says to Felina.
Felina, I'm so happy she's back.
The drama.
Yes.
But thank you all so much for sticking with us. This is a very eventful episode. Make sure you let us know what your thoughts, whether that's on Twitter, you join the Facebook group and let us know in the Facebook group, which the password this week is where's my furniture or where's your furniture? Where's my, did you steal it? Where's your furniture?
I swear to God, I had furniture when I left to go on the honeymoon. Right. Someone came in here and stole all my stuff.
Exactly.
It's like a Will Smith gift, like, what?
Right? Where's everything? Yes, so make sure y'all go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed and leave us a 5-star rating and review. Jason, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
Got some stuff going on. I am here with you, Aysha, on this podcast, and we are talking about the show Perfect Match on Netflix, along with Kirsten McInnes. Also on Post Recaps, I'm doing a couple things. I'm doing Dear Edward with Marissa Garza, and Sasha Joseph and I are going to be wrapping up the show Extraordinary this week over on Post Recaps. It's been a fun ride there. Come check us out there. You can check me out on Twitter at JAYR1085. Aysha, what are you up to?
Yeah, so y'all could find me on Twitter and TikTok at Aysha like Aysha, so AYSHA like ASIA. I am going to be on the Survivor 44 draft, so make sure you catch that. You can find that here on Rob Has a Podcast on Monday, February 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern. I also will be making a little appearance on Post Show Recaps too to talk about the last 2 episodes of Outer Banks. Not quite sure when that's dropping, but I do know that there will be coverage of Outer Banks because season 3 has dropped. And then Jason and I just played some Jackbox with some other podcasters, so I'm sure that'll be up for your viewing pleasure. So you could check that out. We did that right before this.
Aysha, I feel like whenever we play games, you always try and trip me up. You really tried to sabotage me for this game as well.
In response, you kept trying to trick me up.
I don't know about that. We're having to check the tapes.
You absolutely did it first. And let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, of course. Our coverage of the show Perfect Match. We're definitely having some fun there. So make sure you go check that out. And yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about episode 9. So we will catch y'all next week. Bye.